Jordan's subjective.
Jordan's subjective.
Jordan's subjective.
Jordan's subjective perspective.
So we are live for, I'm not sure what episode this is, to be honest, with Sam Paneitz.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's good. It's cool to be here. I like doing stuff like this.
Yeah, this is cool. This is really cool. And I told you this over, I guess, Instagram DM, but I'm a little extra excited for this podcast.
I appreciate it, man.
This is going to be a cool one. I'm excited.
It means a lot to me.
Cool. So I'll hit you with the first question. Super random. I was doing some yard work for my grandma today, and I just thought of this. I'm like, I can't not ask this.
Okay.
So who wins in a fight? Shaq versus three Snookies. Three angry Snookies.
I gotta go Shaq, dude. I gotta side with the athlete. I gotta say Shaq. I don't know. I just think he's too big. Probably take two of them out at once and then deal with the one. Yeah. Probably Shaq.
I think I'll take Shaq too.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a hard question because I'm just imagining like the Snookies just clawing, and fighting.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess Shaq doesn't have any hair pull, so that's one of Snooki's attacks.
That'd probably be your first move. So, yeah.
Cool. So, a little background. You are an amateur MMA fighter, flyweight specifically speaking, right? Which is 125 pounds or less.
Yeah, 125.
Okay.
Yep.
So, why did you get into fighting, or how did you get into fighting?
That's a cool question. All right. So, I don't know. My dad kind of always told me when I was a little kid, like 8, 9 years old, he's just like, I feel like you'd be a good boxer. Like, I don't know. We just talked about it. I was like, yeah, we never did anything about it. And one day I was in like summer before 7th grade, so I'd have been 12. We were driving around. We saw a boxing gym, and I was like, we just decided to try it out.
Why did he say that?
I don't know, man. He just. I always played sports as a kid.
Almost?
I played soccer for like 8 years. I played baseball for 10 years. Yeah. I was big on. I love soccer and baseball. And once I got into like 4th or 5th grade, I kind of committed to baseball. That's actually what I wanted to do when I was a little kid. I wanted to be a baseball player. So I don't know. I don't know why he said it. Maybe just because I liked sports and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, kind of short, so maybe he didn't see me as maybe a baseball player or something. I have no idea, honestly. I never really asked him. But we stumbled across the gym, walked in, and just started from there. And then within a year, I think I played one more season of baseball after starting boxing. And after that, it was like, I kind of was like, for a while I couldn't tell myself I wanted to do this more than baseball. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, nah, man, I do. I really like this more than baseball.
Were you losing interest in baseball because of boxing?
No, that was the hard part with quitting it. Was I wasn't losing interest in it, but it was like I took that one summer off to play baseball, and I didn't box for the whole summer, and I was like, that's what kind of really made it click in my mind. I was like, I love this sport. I always will. Like I love watching baseball. Mm-hmm. I don't follow it as closely as I used to. But I think when I did that, I was like, I think I would have rather boxed. Like, I would find myself, after baseball practice, I'd go up to the gym, like, how was practice tonight? I'd try to get, extra work in. And I was like,
At the boxing gym?
Yeah. And I was I probably wouldn't have done that vice versa. Like, I wouldn't have gone to my baseball coach or whatever and been like, I just realized, boxing's what I wanted to do. So, and then after that, I was like, man, I want to do it all. So, I was like, you know what, when I'm 18, because you got to be 18 to fight MMA. I was like, when I'm 18, I think I want to do MMA.
Because you boxed and then you got into wrestling a few years later?
And that's actually how it started. So, when I was 12, I was like, within a few months of boxing, I was like, I want to do MMA when I'm older. And I was like, well, I got to start wrestling. So, the next year, I started wrestling. Yeah. And that was I had plans to start, jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai when I was younger, but I ended up just going back and forth between boxing and wrestling, and then once I finished my senior season of wrestling, I was 18, and I started an MMA gym, and the place was a little further away, didn't have the best schedule for me, and I had, there's off-season wrestling too, so then I had an off-season wrestling tournament coming up, so I kind of went back to wrestling for a little bit.
Okay.
And then I kind of got done, I was like, man, that gym's not working out. Kind of sat around for a month, and I was actually thinking about this today. I was like, man, what if I just would have never decided to get up and try this second new gym? What if I just would have been like, man, this gym doesn't work out. It's not going to work.
Or you picked up another hobby.
Yeah,
that led to something
it's
else.
crazy. And I was like, I just looked up MMA gyms near me, and I went to the closest one, and it was Wolves Den. I'm like, here we are. You know, it's weird how things work out. Yeah, it's like 5
you're
minutes
still
from my house.
there.
Yeah.
Wait, how long ago was this?
It was summer after senior year, so 2 years.
Oh wow, okay.
Started training 2 years ago, like last month. So, yeah.
So
crazy,
what do you think about like the? Do you like the individual sport versus the team sport aspect?
I don't know. If I had to say yes or no, I'd probably say yes, just because I like everything to be on me, you know, like because it's more of like I can change everything. Like I just the way I look at things, I think like you could do anything, you know. Like,
right.
That's what I tell everybody. Like I think you could do anything, and like when it comes to a sport like MMA, it's like, man, it's really up to you. You know, it's not. You're not. There's guys on like NFL teams, and you're like, man, I'm a Super Bowl champ, and like you might not have even played. You know, whereas like you're not going to be a champion of MMA. You're not going to win any belts, any championships if like you don't do anything.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, I think for that reason I like it. I like it to be on me. It's my responsibility to work hard and to earn everything. You know, and it's all on me too. Anything I don't do, but it kind of comes full circle because everything I mess up with, like that's my opportunity. As like some people see it as like that's my mistake, but really when you mess up, you also that's your opportunity for something to fix. Whereas like, you know, as a team, like you know, pitcher pitches bad the whole time, you lost, your pitcher's got to fix that. You know, and it's like you make a mistake in a fight, like that's my opportunity to fix this hole in my game to become a better fighter. So,
yeah, that's a good point.
You know, like that's kind of the way I see it. I think that's what draws me to it. A little bit.
And I mean, if somebody has you, like, if somebody taps you out, there's, like, no blame, you know? Like,
yeah, exactly.
You can't just, like, push that off on somebody else versus the team sport.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and plus, like, that person's in the same boat as you, you know? So it's like they're trying to get better and they got the best of you. Not the best of you, but, like, they made you tap there. They caught you in whatever submission. So, you know, I don't know. I like it. I like it being on me, so...
I like that too.
Yeah.
Because that was just always my biggest complaint. Because I grew up playing soccer my entire life. And I just I'd never like the guys who would make excuses constantly.
Yeah.
That just irked me so much. And in martial arts, you just can't.
Yeah.
You can't make excuses. You're only hurting yourself and making excuses.
Like, you just... Yeah, exactly. I guess that's another good point. It's like, you know, you do it in another sport... You kind of you stay on the team. Maybe you don't get as much time, you know, or whatever. But like in this, it's just like you just won't get attention. You won't go anywhere. You know, you'll probably end up quitting. You know, because you probably won't get attention from your coaches because they'll be like, this guy doesn't care. You know, and you probably won't even fight. Most coaches won't let you fight if you're not ready. You know, so it's like, yeah, I don't know. That's. So
do you think like going off of that? Do you think martial arts is maybe more honest, like with yourself, like in your personal life as well?
Yeah, I would say yeah, because I mean, you mean like in what sense? What do you mean by honest?
So like, let's say like you mess up in some aspect of life, like let's say school, like you do really poorly in a class or something like that. You could easily just like deflect that off if you weren't to have the experience of like martial arts. Do you think like martial arts, you're like, okay, like I'm the reason this went wrong, nobody else, it's my fault, and all I can do now is carry forward and like fix it? Yeah,
100%. Like, I mean, and even if like you tell yourself in your head like it's so and so's fault, whatever. This my teacher, it's this, but like definitely like I know, like deep down I know, and I realize that, and I know like it almost does, like I would say more than that. It does, like to the point where maybe it was your teacher's fault. Maybe like they rounded everyone else's grade up and they just don't like you and they didn't round yours up, you know. But you're like, man, I could have done that one more homework assignment. I could have studied for that much longer. Like even if it wasn't your fault, you could have done something to fix that, you know. So in a sense, like there's always something you could have done. Kind of goes back to like what I said earlier, you know, like you can do anything. Like it goes back to the same thing, you know, like even things that aren't on you, you know, like you say that guy caught me with a lucky punch, but it's like I could have done something to not even been in that position in the first place, you know.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, like let's take 10 steps back and see where I got, like you know, how I got in that position.
It's like people ask, like, how do I get out of a rear naked choke? You're like, don't get there. Don't get there, you know? Like, you should have never let the guy take your back or whatever in the first place.
That's what somebody told me. I'm like, every single time I go to turtle, I end up in a rear naked choke.
Yeah.
And then somebody's like, don't go to turtle.
Yeah. Yeah. And, like, obviously there's ways out of that, but, like, it's just, like, you know, it's the same thing with life. Like, you let yourself get all the way down this thing. And, like, obviously it's possible to get out. People get out of rear naked chokes. It happens, you know? But it's like they just fight their way out of it. Same thing if, like, you get in a bad situation with anything. It's like, man, your best bet would have been to not get there in the first place, you know? And sometimes it happens. Sometimes you get put in a bad situation, or maybe that guy's really good, you know, whatever it is. But, like, the best bet is, like, you know, it's on you to not let yourself get there. It's your responsibility.
It's a good point.
Same thing with it being an individual sport, you know? Put it on you all the time.
That's a really good point. Even if you successfully get out of that rear naked choke, it's like, no, just like don't get
especially
there.
Especially in a fight, you know, like that looks good for the other guy, you know. When it comes to the judges, they're like, man, like that guy almost got choked out.
That's a good point.
So.
That's a good point.
Yep.
So I don't want to mess this up, but
you're good.
Okay, so you are 11-0, right?
Yep.
In amateur flyweight, mixed martial arts. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I haven't fought every fight at flyweight. I did 2 at 135, which is bantamweight. Okay. And I did 1 at 145, which is featherweight. But 11-0. I'm a 25 pounder. It's just how it is, you know. Some of those 35ers are just tall, man. Like, I fought one, he was 6 foot tall, and I was like,
yeah, it's a huge advantage.
Especially, like, I'm like, man, I'm gonna go up 10 pounds, you know, not a big deal. 6 foot tall. I'm like, nope. Yeah. Like all the way, like, from me to that wall, he's throwing kicks. I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna mess with this. But yeah, it's just I'm a 25 pounder. You know, it's a lot of weight for me, but it's just a better weight class for me. Okay. So I think all my big stuff we do at 125. Okay. So any like the one we just did out in Vegas, like, we're going 25 for that. Anything legit. Like, when it comes time to go pro, like, I'll be a 25 pounder. Okay. You know? Okay. 35 is like, one of them was during wrestling season, so, like, it was kind of, the weight cut was hard because I was already cutting weight, like, consistently, you know, because there's 2 different ways of cutting weight. Wrestling is like you weigh in right before you wrestle, and you have to make weight multiple days in a row. And MMA, it's like, you get all this time to cut weight. You make weight once the night before, and you get 24 hours to recover, so you can do more weight, you know? Okay. You can cut more water weight, you know, stuff like that. Whereas wrestling, it's like, you don't have time to rehydrate. You know, you don't need to be cutting 10, 15 pounds of water weight the day of weigh-ins or something like that.
Oh, it's actually counterproductive.
Exactly.
Okay, exactly. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Never knew that.
So, like, 135, we did a tournament. We did nationals last February, and I can't make 25 every single day. Like, it's not going to happen. And whatever you fight nationals at, if you win nationals, all the other tournaments for the year, so Worlds and, like, all the Continental Opens, so, like, we're doing the Asian Open in September, I have to do 135 at that as a part of Team USA, since that's what I won nationals at. Okay. So we were like, okay, we're not going to be able to do 25, so that's why I went 35. So
you're going to be representing the USA?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
For what exactly?
So September's the Asian Open, and then November is the Amateur World Championships.
Oh, wow. Because you're going to Beijing, right?
Yeah. Asian Open's in Beijing.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't realize that, dude. Good for you.
It'll be cool. I'm excited, man. It's actually not that far away. Like 6 weeks isn't that 6-7 weeks is not that much.
That's not much at all. No. Holy shit, that's like a month and a half.
Yeah.
What is that? That 45 days ish?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, something like that.
Wow.
Yep.
You excited? Do you have any like nerves? Like, how are you feeling right now?
Like, right now, nothing really. I'm definitely excited, you know, because it's like that's that next step, you know. Because for a while, it's like you start out, you're kind of doing the same fights, you know what I mean? You're building up your record, and now it's like, then it's like title fight, nationals, title fight, Vegas, tough, you know what I mean? Like, now it's like international, like, stuff just gets bigger, so now I'm kind of seeing like everything like moving forward, so it's definitely cool, like, just seeing it all play out. But like, right now I'm not too nervous. There are times like I'll be like laying in bed, you know, thinking about it, and like I'll kind of put myself in that situation, and then like I kind of get like lost, and I start getting nervous, you know, just because like I always, like, in my head, I know I'm gonna win. Like, that's just like how I have to go into a fight.
Absolutely.
But like,
I knew the same feeling.
I'm also nervous. Like, I'm always nervous. It's just like the possibility of losing is like it's always there, right? Mm-hmm. Even though in my head, like that's not a possibility. I don't know if that makes sense. It's like a mindset, you know.
That's an awesome psychology to use.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm always nervous.
Well, they say it's actually better to be nervous. Like they say that for like people performing in like concerts or something, like any like artists.
Yeah.
It's actually better to like be able to use those nerves. And they say if you don't have those nerves, it's actually going to work out worse for you.
I think it just shows you care. You know, like you're nervous because you want it to end well. You know.
And there's something on the line.
Yeah, you can be nervous and confident at the same time. You know, you're not afraid. Like nervous and afraid are two different things. You know.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely,
that's the way I see it. Yep.
Well, it's deep. I like that. I like that a lot. So you with that being said, you're 11-0 at amateur bantamweight and flyweight. I saw on I forget the name of the website. It was you'll probably know what it was. But
okay.
you were ranked number 1 in the region for bantamweight and for for flyweight as well.
Yeah. It's number 1 in the Midwest, and they actually don't do a national one on there. So like that's kind of why like if I can win like these international ones, like it's like it's not like a legit thing. It's not like UFC where like they have people that decide rankings, you know. Or I actually don't even know who does those. Uh-huh. Sometimes they're kind of wild, but it's like I won nationals, so you could say it's first in the nation, right? But I don't know. Like rankings don't mean a whole lot amateur level. But yeah, first in the Midwest or first national, whatever you want to call it.
So with all this, I guess success, like how is it difficult for you to stay humble?
No. I have this thing in the back of my head all the time, and it's like not really like a jinx, but it's like I just know I have to. Like I don't really know how to explain it. Like sometimes I'll win a fight. I have a few fights where like you'll see me like scream after, you know, and get like hyped up, like if it's a big knockout or a big win,
Good for you.
You know, but like most of my fights, I'm like, man, I can't do that. Like I have like, you know, everyone has their end goal vision, right? Like on one end, like you look at the next step, but on the other end, in the back of your head, you always have like the whole thing planned out. Mm-hmm. And like, you know, that vision of like retiring undefeated, like I made a good living from the sport, you know, I went big, like people know me. Like that's my point where I can like sit back and say like, I'm done. I can celebrate. I can scream. I can cry. Do whatever. Like, I can let my emotions get the best of me there, and I can like do whatever.
When you're
right.
After you had won.
And I feel like some of my fights now, you know, and no matter what I do now, like I still have stuff left to do. So I almost like I have to keep it kind of bottled up a little bit, you know, not in a bad sense, but it's just like, you know, like for example, yeah, what I've done is cool. You know, it's a big deal at the amateur level. But if I were to fall off right now, like I didn't do anything. You know.
That's a good point.
So
that's a really good point.
It's like they're good markers to say I'm on the right path. There's, you know, good markers for people that believe in chance and go by chance to say like this kid's gonna make it. But I still couldn't. You know. Like, you never know. Like I could get cocky and not train hard and then lose my next fight, and like that guy goes on and takes my spot for the next 10 years. Being where I would be.
True.
Know? So, no, I can't let myself, you know. Sometimes with my buddies, I'll joke around and stuff, but I would never, like, go out in public. I'm not a big trash talker. It's just not my thing.
Right.
So, especially at this level, I see guys talking trash, and I'm like, dude, we're amateurs. Like, chill out.
Like, there's a whole other level of
dude, nobody cares about us. Leave it alone.
Yeah, that's the best mindset you can take.
Yeah.
Not dwell in the past too much. Like what did I learn from that fight? And that was awesome in the moment, but I get you can't get complacent. You can't get complacent.
The big things, you know, like I just did that tough enough one. Like, you know, I was like, you know, enjoy it. Like we're in Vegas, let's enjoy this weekend. You know, get back to training next week. You know, enjoy my week, relax, like back to the grind. You know.
There you go.
So, yep. And then one day it'll all pay off. You know, one day it won't be back to the grind. One day it'll be like, you know what, 40 years left, enjoy it all. You know, look back on it, tell your kids about it, do whatever.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
That's like that goal I want to hit. You know, that's like the end game thing. So I think it's hard for me to not be humble if I haven't done what I ultimately want to do yet. You know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
that's the same mentality I have with this podcast as well.
Yeah.
I would say this podcast is like my new sport because I always had all this energy I was putting into soccer, and like I there's no way I could just dwell on like even like this podcast. Like this is one that I was really looking forward to. I'm really enjoying it in the moment right now. But it's not like I'm gonna like just dwell on this and be like, you know what, I'm good.
Yeah.
I had Sam Paneitz on. It's all good, man. I'm just gonna chill forever.
Exactly. Yeah, because like if you were to do that, then it's like, all right, you're not going anywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
How do you handle unsupportive people? Do you have anybody specifically unsupportive in your life, or?
No, actually, that's something I'm really blessed to have a lot of people. You know, like just like I was kind of talking to you like before. It's just like people that say they keep up with me and like want pictures. Like I love that stuff, you know. And plus, like between my friends, family, team, all those people, like I have a ton of supportive people. But as far as like people that like. You know, if I were to tell somebody, yeah, I want to be a fighter for a living, you know, and they say like, all right, yeah, good luck with that. You know, it's just like, all right, like what does that mean? You know, it's just like, that doesn't really mean much to me. And anybody could say that. And I'm like, who are you to tell me what I can or can't do, you know?
That's a good point. You don't know me.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, it's not like a traditional thing, that like everybody does, but like, you got to look at it vice versa, you know? It's like, people are like, what are the chances of doing that, you know? And I'm like, well, if you leave it up to chance, probably not that good, you know? But if you actually, like, make yourself do it and, like, do everything you can to do it, like you're probably going to make it. That's the way I look at it. As far as unsupportive people, like, it's funny, I had one person come up to me and, like, my teachers when I was in, like, middle school would ask me, like, what I want to do. And, like, I would have a day where I wouldn't turn in my homework, right? And maybe I would do that for a couple of days. And they'd be like, Sam, come on, like you gotta, you know, get back onto this. Like, what are you trying to do here, you know? And then they would get all deep with me, like, what do you want to do when you're older? Like, this is important. And I'd be like, oh, I want to be a fighter. And they kind of give me that blank, like, oh crap, like this homework doesn't mean anything. But, you know, I remember one teacher in middle school. I got into like this. You can call it like an argument. I liked him, he liked me, but like. I can get kind of stubborn with teachers sometimes.
Did you go South or Frontier, by the way?
I went to South.
Okay, same.
But I mean, I'm not gonna say who it was. Doesn't matter. No. But and he's like, it was a great teacher. Whatever. Like I like them. But like they got into singing, they're like, man, like you really probably can't do that when you're old. Like you probably need to take school seriously. And like, I'm not saying don't take school seriously. It's not what I'm saying by any means. But he was like, man, what are the chances of you like really doing that? You know, especially making a living off it. And granted, I haven't done that yet. But I had somebody come up to me and they're like, man, I remember that day back in middle school when you were in an argument the whole class with that teacher, you know? And like that's kind of stuff that like I have people like him who was like, you know, you could call that unsupportive to say like you really think you're going to do that. But I'm like, man, look where that brought me. Like now I get somebody else who is supportive out of it, you know? Mm-hmm. People that remember that. And I think that's just the classic thing of like using everybody that tells you you can't do it. Like that's one more reason to go do it, you know?
Does that drive you at all?
Yeah, a little bit. I would say I don't have a ton of people that do that to me. You know, most people are very supportive and friendly about it and everything.
I think you've like made a conscious effort to surround yourself with those kind of people as well.
Maybe I would say I definitely don't surround myself with the people that are unsupportive. You know, and I think maybe by weeding out all those people. All that's left is the ones that are supportive, you know.
That's a good point.
But even if people that aren't, you know, it's like it's okay, you know. I'm sure I've had friends that like still my best friends, whatever. I'm sure some of them when I was 12 and I told them, yeah, I'm trying to be like a UFC fighter when I grow up. I'm sure they were like, all right, Sam, like make sure you still go to college. You know what I mean? Like in the back of their head, they're just like that's something that's hard to do, you know.
Right.
And so like you could call that unsupportive, but I'm not gonna take it. And use that as a reason why I can't go do something, you know. Mm-hmm. So that's the way I take them. I think they're everyone's gonna hate, dude. Like it's
I respect that approach a lot,
you know?
Because I think something when you're trying to achieve something like bigger like that, and you're gonna have doubters inevitably. I like that because I think me personally, I think whenever people, because I've had some people kind of like get turned away from like doing this, and like I said, I was doing Vines before this. Mm-hmm. And I've noticed some people are like turned away by that. Yeah. And I think I take it too personally. Yeah. So I like that approach a lot more. I like that. And
like another way to look at it is like even when you go big, say you're number one in the world and whatever you're doing, people are still gonna hate on you.
That's
you know,
a good
it happens. It's like man, like I could get all the way up there. I could make it and I could rub it in that person's face and I could probably still find something else to bash me for, you know? Like, some people, that's what they like to do. They want to waste their time and drag other people down, man, you know? And I have this thing, it's like, you can only drag people down if you're below them, you know? So it's like...
Ooh!
It's like, if that's what you're going to do with your life, you know, you're going to be sitting at the bottom pulling other people down, you know? So
Dude, that's a really good point. That is such a good point.
I don't know.
And it probably comes from insecurity,
yeah,
too, if you
know?
think about it.
And it's like, man, you could be... Like, you're busy pulling people down below you, you know, if you're pulling people up above you, they can pull you up higher, you know, that's the way I look at it. So, and, you know, I'm not here saying, like, I help people out as much as I should or could, but it's just a good mindset, I think, to have, you know, like, why waste your time with, you know, it's like that famous quote, losers focus on winners while winners focus on winning, you know.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard that, but I like
really?
that.
That's not mine. That's not mine. But I don't know who said it. I've seen it and heard it. It's just, I think it's a good one, you know?
Actually, speaking of quotes, what's the quote in your Instagram bio? You are not what you love, but...
It's actually from a song, but it's you are what you love, not who loves you. And that's just, I don't know, I think...
Wait, say that one more time?
It's you are what you love, not who loves you. Or
okay.
you can say not what loves you, whatever you want to make it.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know. I think that's a big thing. People get attention from something or whatever it may be. You know, like maybe someone's told you you're good at this. This is what you got to do. Or someone's like, you know, if it's a relationship, you know, someone's like, you're like, man, this person cares about me. You know, this is like they love me, whatever. And I'm like, but if that's not you, like that's not what you should be spending your time doing. You know, like we live somewhere where you can do whatever you want. You know, there's other countries where like you don't get to pick what you want to do. And I think, you know, people should like use that, you know, it's like, you can, I don't know, that's kind of the you are what you love part. It's like whatever you really care about deep down, like you spend all your time worrying about who or what, you know, loves you or is attracted to you. You know, be thankful for that, be grateful for it, but like, that's not your passion. That's not you, that's them. That's that thing, you know? Like you could be good at a bunch of things, you know. Like when I was a little kid, I like to draw. Like I was good at drawing for a little kid, you know. And I still like to do it, but I'm like, that's not what I want to do with my life, you know. You know, I don't know. That's just kind of a thing I keep in the back of my head. I just think it's a cool quote.
That is really interesting, yeah.
You know,
because if you're going to spend too much time like dwelling on who does and doesn't love you,
that's a big part of it. It's like stop worrying about that. You know, do what you love.
Dude, I will say that's like something I've actually been like, struggling with lately. That I'm trying to like, I guess, take a better approach on. I really like that.
It's like don't worry about that stuff. Because if you have to go and worry about getting every single other thing and like being good at this for this person and making this person care about you and like making this person happy, you know, and it's not what you care about, you know, by all means, like still help people, still make people happy, but like don't make that your priority in life. Don't waste your time because like in the end, like you're gonna get to the end and you're not gonna have, you never got to be you know, for your whole life. You're too busy
trying to satisfy these other people.
I was too busy trying to you know, make that guy who doesn't support me, like unsupported people, you know? And it's like, man, like, they're going to be that way.
Focus on your craft.
Yeah, exactly. Whether you're good at it or not.
Dude,
like, make yourself good at it, you know?
Yeah.
Goes back to what I said earlier, you can do anything. Like, make yourself good at it.
And think about all the mental energy that you could be putting into, like thinking, maybe like visualizing like combos or takedowns or whatever that you're going to be putting into like, oh, I wonder if that person from my freshman psychology class, like, I wonder if they support me still.
You know, and that's like kind of what I said earlier, like unsupported people. Man, you know, like, you could get up to the highest level and call them out and be like, yo, I made it. They might never see that, you know?
Yeah, sure.
Like, and like, yeah, it's cool. You can have that as a little, like, motivating factor, but that shouldn't be the reason you go do something. You know, it's like, you're centering your life around proving that person wrong, you know, and that's, I don't know. That's just not the right way to go about it.
If you get to where you want to go, how fulfilling is that going to be?
Yeah, and like, how much do you really care about that? Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, if you're the best in the world at something, do you care more about proving that person wrong or being the best in the world? You know? So, yeah, it's just, yeah, man, do what you love. That's the way I look at it.
There you go.
And find a way, you know? It's like, people might not support you, especially when you do unorthodox things, you know, like trying to run a podcast, trying to be a fighter. It's like, it's not what you go to school for, but that doesn't mean you can't do it. Like, people still do it all the time. You know, it's just not the most popular thing. So, yeah.
And some people might be comparing themselves to you and like in their own lives, like they just couldn't imagine themselves being a fighter,
exactly,
like, by any means.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, like you're gonna be a fighter. So it maybe it's even like irrational to take it personal in that aspect.
Yeah. They're like, man, that would be so hard. Like, what are the chances that guy could do that? You know?
Yeah.
It goes with anything. It's not just being a fighter. It's anything really. You know, even if it's something you do, kind of take more of a traditional route for. If it's something you go to school for, you know, like, I don't know. I mean, I would say there are things you go to school for that you could argue are maybe harder, you know, and like people support like that, like it's crazy, you know. People want to be doctors, and I'm like, do you know how hard it is to be a doctor?
Yeah, like 8 years of school.
You gotta do all, and you actually have to, like, there's some jobs you can get out and you pretty much get your job, and you just have to know, like, you just have to do what they tell you to do, like you have to know what you're doing. You gotta think, you know what I mean? So I don't know everything about being a doctor, but like you actually have to, like, it's like with school. It's like you don't have to. You can almost get through school without making yourself smarter. You can learn the stuff in time for the test, get a grade on the test, you know? Like, if you're going to do something like that where you're, like, dealing with other people's lives, like, you have to know what you're doing at all times. It's not something you can, like, oh, I got to do this for this person, like, do it and forget. You know, like, you're going to be doing that over and over and over. Like, that's hard, and people support that all the time, which by all means support that. I'm just saying, like just because somebody doesn't want to do the traditional route of something, it doesn't mean, like, they can't do it.
That's a good point. Yeah, that is weird because, like, since people, if it's not traditional, then people will typically not accept it or see it as, deem it as like impossible or like be less supportive of that. Yeah, that is really interesting.
And it's you know, that goes back to the unsupportive thing. It's whatever, like, people are gonna do that.
Yep.
So do what you can. That's about it.
So how do you handle fear?
You know, and this is, I don't know, this is going to sound kind of, like, I don't know, like, cliche or whatever. Like, I don't think there's a lot of things I'm really afraid of. Mm-hmm. You know, if I could say I'm really, like, afraid of something, it would be, like, you know, like, not going as far as I want. You know, I mean, I don't you know, going into a fight, like I said, there's that nervousness. I don't know if I would call it fear. There's maybe that fear of, like, getting caught, you know, in front of a bunch of people. You get caught by, like, a kick, something you didn't see coming.
But you can always, I guess, avoid that fear by just getting as good at your craft as you can possibly and giving everything you can to do your craft.
That's one thing, you know, use it as a motivator, you know, like, do all you can. Like I said, take the steps beforehand, like we were talking about earlier, to make sure that never happens. But I'll also say, like, you gotta look at it, it's like, dude, like, for example, for what I'm doing, I'm like, that could always happen. Mm-hmm. People are gonna be kicking you, like, trying to kick you in the face. Like, that's sport I'm in, you know. I would say, like, as far as, like, being afraid of something, like, not making it, not being successful, that's more of along the lines of, like, use it as a motivator, you know, like.
Yeah, good point.
You know, because that's not something that's gonna just pop out of nowhere. You know, it's not gonna be like, oh, you didn't make it. It's gonna, like, that goes back to what we said earlier, like, don't go down that path. You know, take the steps to make sure you do. And I think that's people put so much time into, like, their plan B all the time. You know, they're like, oh, make sure you have a college degree to fall back on. Which, you know, if you want to do that, that's great. Like, I'm not saying don't do that, but I think people put so much time into their plan B, and I'm like, dude, if you really put all your time into your plan A, like, all of it. I don't mean like find a way. Like, if you gotta do something different, do something new that people haven't done before, you might have to do that. And if you don't know how, you might have to figure out how. And if you don't know how, you might have to take the time to learn how to figure out how. Whatever you gotta do. You know, if you really took all that time put into it, like, I think for me, it's hard to believe that you're not gonna go far in whatever it is.
Yeah,
if you really committed yourself to something, you know? So, I just think, as far as fear goes, it's something that's always gonna be there. But at the same time, it's like, it's also something that you can always get past.
Absolutely.
So, you know, it's like, if I were to say I'm afraid of getting kicked in the face and losing a fight, well, that could have happened 11 times now, you know?
Sure.
Like, I've overcome that every time. So, I don't know. You gotta find your way of getting past it or looking past it, whatever works for you, I think. So.
And maybe understand, like, why you're fearful in the first place, too.
Yeah,
Some fears are completely irrational.
Yeah, you know, it happens, like, and, like, yeah, exactly. Some of them are irrational.
Which I feel like almost like getting kicked in the head. Like you know the risks going into it,
Yeah.
and that's almost like a motivating factor. You're like, wow, like this is such a risky thing. It's like, is that exciting for you at all? Or?
Yeah, kinda. I guess like I don't know about going in. Like I don't sit there before a fight like, man, I could get kicked in the head. Like, I'm not like
Dude,
that.
yeah.
Like, but I would say the like, again, it's like with that fear comes opportunity. You're like, man, like I could get past this guy, knock a kick in the head, I could kick him in the head. That's like, people always ask me like, why do you want to get hit? I'm like, dude, I don't want to get hit.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like as far as fighting goes, I want to hit other people. Like kind of a common sense thing,
It's kind of the goal, not to
Yeah,
get hit,
yeah,
right?
exactly,
Like,
exactly.
To minimize that.
Yeah, so it's just something that's always there, So like it's like if that is what fear is, then I think it's like it's just like seen as like a possibility. It's not like it's set in stone. It's like it's gonna happen. You just gotta do something to make sure it doesn't happen.
True. A lot of fear, I feel like, is mindset and sometimes overthinking.
Yeah, for sure. That's why like your fears are reality for maybe like a lot of other people, but they might not be afraid of it. It's not like it's just you. So that goes with like it's a mindset. That person doesn't see it that way. So
Do you like? So I don't know. Whenever I said overthinking, it kind of triggered this thought. Is it a real like flow thing whenever you're like fighting? Like, are you like just very into it, like, or is it like how would you explain the feeling?
So I would say this is the big thing we're working on with me right now is and like this is not to come off as like cocky or anything, but like my biggest thing with my fighting is just me getting like comfortable in there, because when I spar, like like I said, I'm not trying to be cocky, but like I look really good, I feel really good, I perform really well, and I go out and I fight and I just get like, for a while I thought it was nervousness, but going into my last fight, I wasn't that nervous, and I kind of did the same thing. I just I tense up, and I'm not loose, and I don't commit to stuff. I'm just like, it might be a little bit of being nervous. I'm not sure. That's something we're trying to fix, but like
maybe not take the risks you might take in practice, or
yeah, exactly, because it's like I'm not gonna get a loss on my record in practice, and like I got to be able to somehow get past that, because I'm never going to be able to get a loss on my record in practice. I'm never going to be able to not get a loss on my record in a fight. So that goes with like maybe the fear thing. Like I got to find a way to get past that. That's what we're working on right now, because once I'm able to do like in the cage what I do in the gym, like it's going to be a whole new game. Yeah, I don't know. I think I went on for a while. What was the original question?
No, that was a really good answer.
Yeah.
It sounds like your capabilities, like you're not. It sounds like a mindset thing. Like sometimes you're not executing on your capabilities.
Yeah.
In there for, I guess, a reason that you don't understand yet, or.
Yeah, exactly. It's not even like I don't. It might be maybe part of it I don't understand. If I don't understand, I guess I don't know. So, but part of it's just like I think experience. On one end, like I've had a good amount of amateur fights, but like I got a lot more fights to come. I'm still on the first half of a fight career, you know what I mean? So as far as like if I were to do this till I'm 40, I'm well on the first half of this, so experience I'm sure will help, and I think just taking that risk when I go out there and succeeding with it, I think that'll help too. Like when I fight like when I spar, I keep my hands just a little bit lower, because I can move more, I'm more loose, and I go out to fight, I'm like, oh, I can't take any hits at all, so I just like I shell up.
Oh, okay.
And it's just like it kind of makes me like stiff, and like I'm afraid like I fought a wrestler, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to commit to this kick in case he catches it and like tries to take me down. When in reality, it's like, man, if I would have committed to that kick,
who knows?
Probably wouldn't have been able to catch it, as opposed to if I just tossed it out there like I did.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And it's like, so it's just something I gotta get past. It's something that we're gonna have to work on, and maybe I'm hoping like this Asian Open, it's a tournament, so I'll fight every day for up to like 5 days.
In MMA?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So maybe that'll help, just getting all that experience. Because I know I used to get nervous when I wrestled, and get nervous like back when I boxed. And I know like wrestling, you get a lot more. You get 40, 50 matches in a season. And once I started doing tournaments every single weekend, 5 matches a day, whatever, I kind of started to get more comfortable, and like I'd be more willing to like try stuff, But even then, like I'm still not. I've done this in all my sports, like when I spar, when I box, and I go live in the wrestling room. I'm willing to take way more risks than I do like in competition. I'm sure it's not a thing just with me, you know, but I don't know. Like, I haven't been able to get past it yet, but that's what we're working on right now. That's kind of the next step. Once I can do that, I think it's going to change a lot. So I'll look way better out there once I can do that.
Do you think it's a little bit like you're comfortable with your sparring partners too, and less risk of getting hurt as well, or?
That I'm sure that plays a part in it. You know, like obviously, like I spar with the same person you know, well, I mean, we have one sparring day, but we go live on other days and other stuff. So I'm sure that plays some part in it. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Not to point out your weaknesses.
No, not at all, man. Not at all. Like, I mean, obviously, like, seeing someone face-to-face for the first time, maybe at weigh-ins or in the cage, it's, like, a lot different, you know? You're, like, you know what people kind of like to do, so you know, like, what to look out for, you know? And even if you watch them on video, it's still different than when it could actually happen to you.
It's a good point, because that might be their technique, like, 2 months before that. But
they might be, yeah, exactly. They might be completely different now, you know? So, yeah, I don't know. Something we got to work on, so...
Yeah, that's interesting. I've never really thought about like the build up to a fight, because I mean you got 6 weeks to prepare.
Yeah.
Like versus like soccer, we never really had time to like prepare. Like the most preparing I ever did for like a game, I guess you'd say, was like we watched film like in the playoffs. We'd like watch film or like kind of get like a scouting report on the other team to know their strengths. But like besides that, it's like you don't know who's good on the other team. You don't know like if they have a good back line or if they have a good goalie. You just don't really know, and you kind of figure out as the game goes. Versus like martial arts, you're going to learn in advance about who they are. Yeah. And obviously there's always that unpredictability, but like you try to do your best to anticipate. Like what's that process like?
So I'd say that's probably a benefit. Like that's why I think a lot of people go pro before they should. You know, like that's one question I get asked like a lot is like, when are you going pro, dude? Like when are you going pro? You know, and it's like one, like I wrestle in college, so I can't do that yet. If I did, I wouldn't be able to wrestle anymore. But I think being an amateur, like especially at a lower level, like you might not have any video on the guy you're fighting. You know, especially like when I'm going to do these tournaments, I have no idea. You know, like who's going to be in them. I don't know who China's representative is for 135 pounds. You know, I don't know who that is. So maybe we can find him, you know, if he did the tournament last year and we see the bracket on the day before, we can look at it, you know. But I think that's something that helps is like you don't do that as much in like high school wrestling either. You just kind of like, you might have seen them wrestle before, you might not. You know, you just kind of go out there and you do you more than worrying about them, you know?
Yeah, totally.
And I think like fighting is a thing where you adapt. You don't fight the same way every single fight. Even if it's similar, it's not exactly the same. You change it a little bit based off of like who you're fighting. I think at the amateur level, like we do try to do that. To answer your question, like we try to prepare for each guy. We do what we can. We take the film that we can. But you know, like for some things, you just got to be like ready for all of it. Like I'm going to. So when I do this Asian Open, like I know a lot of the like Asian countries are big on like striking, you know. So we're gonna kind of prepare for that. They're not as much grapplers, but there are some like I know like Mongolia is gonna be more wrestlers, you know. Yeah. So it's like, you know.
So you have this broad idea, kind of like each country, but not necessarily the individuals.
Yeah, like maybe the guy doesn't wrestle at all. Maybe he's a striker, you know. So like that's something that's gonna be where I have to take my risk, and I gotta be like, all right, it's time to do me. You know, I don't know what this guy's gonna do. It's time to do me like the best I do me. Just like when I get a new guy that walks into the room to spar, like I've never met, like, hey Sam, you're sparring with this guy today. We got a good guy for you to spar with. You know, I'm like, do me. You know, I might have to take that first round to like figure some stuff out. So that's the thing with wrestling. I think I do like I've gotten better at like going out and doing me as opposed to like, all right, what's he gonna do? What's he gonna do? So I think that's a big part of it. Like, other sports, I know, like, maybe at, like top of the level, you know, NFL, I know they do probably a ton of scouting, and, you know, they're like, hey, you're going to do this for this game and stuff. But, like, here you definitely do it at a lower level. Like, my past few fights, all the ones I do now, we pretty much have film of, like, everybody I'm going to fight. So this will definitely be a different experience, you know, going out and fighting 4 or 5 guys that I have no idea what they're gonna do.
It sounds like a really cool experience.
It's definitely cool,
especially like what you were saying, like working on like being able to take the risks. Like it sounds like a really good stepping stone for like where you're at in your MMA career.
Yeah, 100%. Plus, it's like, you know, it's a new stage. I'm in a different country, you know, so I'm not around like people like I know. Maybe, you know, I don't have like people coming to watch me fight that I know, you know, and it's like, I think that risk will help, just being able to like, all right, you know what, I don't know this guy, go out, do me, beat him, you know, as opposed to like, oh, don't do this, he's good at this, make sure you do this is like a hole in his game. So, yeah, that's what we're hoping. Hopefully this kind of helps fix that mental block that I have.
Yeah, I wish you the best.
Yeah.
That'd be a really cool experience regardless. Like that'd be a really awesome time.
Yeah, it's cool.
So it's 4 back-to-back days?
I think it's like the 10th through 15th. I don't know if every single day is I don't know. I think I thought it was 5 days, but it said 10th through 15th. So it's like a total of 6. It's up to that. So I know the last day is the finals. And then depending on your bracket size, like you'll fight every day up to that.
Is it just one cage in the middle of like an arena? Or?
I know Worlds, I think they have like 6 or something.
Oh, no way.
It's a lot of matches to get through. So I don't know. I don't know how they do it at this one.
Okay.
It's run through the same people though, so it might be the same thing.
And how big is the like venue?
Couldn't tell you. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know what building it is. You know, I've never been to China. I've never been overseas before. So,
right.
I have no idea. It might be a couple hundred. Might be like thousands. I don't know. But I think that's the good thing with this last one I did. There was like 14,000 people there. So that's something I thought was gonna get to me, and I actually I think I did a lot better with that. Like I walked out and it didn't. It was
kind of able to channel that almost like.
So that's what I thought I was gonna have to do. But honestly, I walked out and I was like, huh, this is cool. You know, like it was. I just made it a lot smaller than what it is. You know, I was like, the cage is the same size, same material, and I'm in the same spot. Like everything outside of me isn't in the cage. You know. So it's like maybe a little louder, but it's hard to hear stuff when you're in there anyway. So it didn't really change. The people didn't change much.
Probably very focused on your
Yeah. I pretty much
doing the same old thing. They practice every day.
Like I'm only listening to my coaches. I'm not listening to that anyway. I think I've gotten good at like being able to hear them like when I'm out there. So like just recognizing their voice in the middle of like all the chaos. So
that's wild. That's wild.
Yeah.
I've always thought this is kind of off topic, but I've always thought that's really interesting how like you can be in a room of like 6 people and there can be 3 conversations going and like the human mind is able to like differentiate.
Like switch.
Yeah. Isn't that kind of weird? Like you can literally tone out the other conversations going on while having a conversation with that one person.
Yeah. Like you hear it all, but you're not listening to it all. Kind of.
Yeah. But that's really important though. Like they, because I feel like at a world stage or if you want to get as big as you want to get, I could see that being kind of self-defeating for some people. Yeah, for sure. So that's really awesome that you would you say you actually do better in that environment or about the same?
Yeah, because I think I don't know about better than other people.
Or better than yourself.
Yeah, I think like I used to have a big problem with it back when I first started boxing, dude. I didn't hear anything. My coach was like, "Hey, I told you to do this." I'm like, "Dude, I cannot hear you at all."
I'm in the zone right now.
I was in the zone. I didn't hear anything at all, and I think just. That's another thing, you know, experience has helped that, you know, I had like 20 boxing matches as a kid. I've had probably 100, a lot of wrestling matches, you know, over 100, I'm sure. But, and now all my MMA fights, I think being in different sports, different environments, multiple different times at different places, different size crowds. I think I just learned that like, man, like all these variables, like they're going to keep being variables. They're going to keep changing, you know. And I can't be like, oh, I have to do this different because of this place. You know, it's just going to be like learn about the constants, not the variables and situations like that. Okay. And I think that's what's kind of helped, you know. Like I hear my coaches like coach me in practice all the time. I was actually talking to one of them about it the other day. And like I think that's why I was telling him like, dude, I hear you so well when I fight. I don't know why. Like I don't try to, I just do. And he's like, you know, I think it might be because like I'm coaching you every Sunday when you spar. Like you listen to me when you spar. Ooh. And I'm like, just honestly probably the reason why, you know. So like you still like hearing their voice. Yeah, it's just like natural. Like I hear him say something. Like I had one fight, like Drew told me it was my second fight ever, and he was like, you can hear it actually if you watch the video of the fight, you can hear it's like the production video too. You hear like Sam faked the takedown, left uppercut, right overhand, and I went, boom, 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 finished the fight.
Way.
Yeah, it was so cool.
Wow.
Like, and it was cool because, like, in my head, I was like, I heard him say it, and I was like, yeah, that's it, this is it. And, like, I knew it was coming, too. I was like, this is it.
Almost like intuitive.
I'm like,
wow.
this is, he's right. This is going to finish the fight right here. And I went, whoa, boom, boom. That was it.
That's sick.
Yeah,
that's really
awesome.
cool.
It was really cool. Yeah.
So do you think, like, being a fighter, like, in general, or, like, taking up martial arts has made you, and this answer might, like, vary throughout, like, the duration of your career, but do you think it's made you more calm or, like, more aggressive as a person?
Definitely calm, 100%. I think, like, just everywhere. Like,
see, that's so counterintuitive for somebody
I know
hearing,
what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd say I'm definitely, so back when I first started boxing and wrestling, I get myself so hyped up. Like, I was like, you know, like smacking my legs, like smacking my feet, like jumping up and down, like just like ready to go. And like I've learned over the years, like now I'm like super calm. Like when I walk out there, you know, like I get like warmed up and ready to go. You know, I'm not like, it doesn't feel like a walk in the park, but it's like I'm way more calm now. And I think just being in intense situations like that, like walking through crowds, being in school, it's definitely kind of made me, I don't know about a quieter person, but it's like a teacher will ask like a question in class, and I'll be like, I don't have to raise my hand. I don't feel like answering that.
Right.
You know, whereas like I remember like back like as a kid, and even in like if I look back to like really young, it was almost an instinct like in elementary school. Like teacher asks a question, you know it, you raise your hand. You know what I mean? Like it's just what you do. And I think like as I got older, it's just like you kind of learn like almost like you just have headphones in. You know, like I got into high school, like I was that kid that just like I like to put headphones in the hallway. I just like. I don't know. Like I didn't really care. It was like my thing. I was like, man, I want to listen to music. I don't, you know, if someone wants to talk to me, I'll take them out. But
yeah.
I don't know. Like it. I'd say it's definitely made me more calm for the most part. You know. Okay. And I'll get hyped up and act goofy with all my buddies for sure. Like, but I would say it's made me. I think just with all the mindset stuff that comes along, it's definitely like brought out a little more like the introvert in me. You know, to where like. Like in a social situation, like unless I want to or unless I'm in the mood, like I probably won't put myself out there just because I don't know. I just feel like it's unnecessary. I don't feel like it is the reality of it. You know? So as opposed to, I don't know if that's what you mean by aggressive, but I mean like somebody that's just like constantly like opportunity, like go or like say this because I can, you know. But yeah, I'm not really an aggressive person. For the most part.
That's like I'll speak for you here. Like you seem extremely grounded in yourself, especially for like you're like average like 20-year-old. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
I feel like a lot of that probably comes from martial arts.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a big part of it. And you know, like I said earlier, what I was talking about with like not going crazy after every single fight, like I just won like a UFC championship. I think that's part of it too. You know, because like there are times I kind of like felt like it, but I was just like, okay, like I won an amateur fight. You know, like. Got a lot left to do, so I think that's part of it. You know, I mean, by all means, I'm a very competitive person. Like, I'll play like team sports on the side with my buddies. I'm super competitive, you know, and like as a little kid, I always had like anger issues. I'd throw like a fit if something didn't go my way, you know. And now, I don't know. It's just different. I'd say I'm sure that's. Maybe the biggest factor that has changed that.
Well, you've been able to like put all that any aggression that you have inside yourself, you've been able to put into, I guess, like martial arts.
Yeah, I think for a while that's what I tried to do. I was like, man, I gotta get mad when I box, you know, like I'm gonna kill this guy. And now I'm like, but I don't do that when I spar. And like, why would I want to do this any different than what I do 7 days a week? You know?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I think that's why I'm trying to bridge that gap between practice and fighting and make it like I'm just doing another day of practice. But so I don't know, when I go to practice I try to make it a little more like I care. But then I have days where I'm like, man, you're not trying anything in practice now, you know? Like practice is a place to try stuff. So it's a hard bridge to gap, you know? And or whatever, I don't even know. Like it's tough. Like I don't think it'll ever be fully there. I think that's probably that way for a lot of people. I think a lot of guys don't, especially like when it comes to fighting. I think a lot of guys probably don't fight like they spar, you know. And maybe the ones that do, they're a little too calm. Maybe they take risks that they shouldn't, you know. Maybe, and a lot of times it works out for them. Maybe sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. But yeah, I would say it's probably made me a calm person overall, for the most part. Like, just in your everyday situation. You know, you put me in my environment with my friends, whether we're like, you know, eating food or playing video games, you know, whatever. Like, yeah, for sure, I'll get hyped up and I'll like show like more aggression. You know, you lose to them or something like that. You know,
right.
It's not like aggression, like pure anger, but it's just like you can show it because you're around your friends.
Yeah, competitive.
But I would
mindset.
I would never do that like out in public, you know. But at the same time, I might, you know, someone could probably counter me with that and be like, you know, I've seen you in like, maybe you put me in like a sporting aspect, you know, you go to play like softball or volleyball with some friends, like I might get a little competitive. Like, I would say that's maybe where a little bit of, if you want to call it aggression, comes out, you know, like getting mad at teammates, like, come on, dude, like, what are you doing?
Oh, I'm the same way.
You know, but I mean, I'm not really like, I'm not gonna fight him, you know. So yeah, I'd say it's definitely calmed me down overall.
Okay. And that's what I found with jiu-jitsu. It's like how calming it really is, and like how fluid it kind of is.
You kind of gotta think about everything, but at the same time, you want to not have to think about it. You know, like that's kind of your goal. But like with jiu-jitsu, like that's why I think like smart people are so good at it. Like they can be so good at it because like it's like so many like processes and like just different branches of like where each thing could go. You know, like you start one move in jiu-jitsu, you don't have one path. You know, you can turn around and go back. You can branch off different ways to finish or whatever you're doing. You know, and like maybe you're going this way and this guy comes in and like he stops. You gotta go around that. You gotta counter him and everything. And it's there's so many different like processes and things you think about, I think, and it kind of slows you down. You're slower to act, but at the same time, like I think since it makes you slower to act, it kind of will make that second nature for you, like to the point where, like if I don't even know.
Where it's like automatic.
Yeah, like it's like, you know, at first you're slower to act, and eventually you're gonna get back to being like quick to act again, which is like where you didn't want to be at first, but you're quick to act in the right way, as opposed to quick to act with who knows what reaction.
Okay,
you know?
yeah.
Like your goal, like some people think it's like best to be slow to act, which is good to think about, but really if you can just act the right way, you know, instantly, it's like that's probably the best case scenario, you know. And I think that's something jiu-jitsu does really well, like over time, and you it's cool, like 'cause you don't notice it along the way, but you notice it at the end. Like you're like, man, I'm trying to get good at this, and catch yourself thinking about it. You get better and better and better, and then like eventually you have it down, and like you do it one time, you're like, dude, I didn't even think about doing that. Like it just happened.
Right. Yeah.
And there was one time like that one I wouldn't even have thought about doing that, you know. And now you're like, I do the right thing without thinking about it. So yeah, I think jiu-jitsu
like
helps.
that.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu helps with stuff like that a lot. You know, maybe even outside of like the sport, I think it just helps like that.
Okay, yeah.
So.
Like you get in a situation in life, like then I can go in this direction, this direction. Yeah, you kind of weigh out your options.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the more well-rounded you get in life, the more options you have.
Exactly.
That's what I've noticed with that. Because the way I kind of interpret it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but with my like novice understanding of it, I feel like it's you get like side control.
Yeah.
Then what my capabilities right now, I could go to. It's like I feel like it's like if-then statements almost. Like, Like if I'm in side control, then I can do this, and then I can do within my own capabilities. I can go to like knee on belly, or try to get to mount, or maybe try to like pull like an arm bar if he's pushing on my knee. That's about all I know.
Yeah.
So like and I feel like the more capable you become, the more thens you have, the more thens to the if-then.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. Yeah.
Are there any stereotypes about MMA or like just fighting in general that you'd like to like just kill right now?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I've gone over like as far as like some of the stuff with like who can and can't do it. Like we've already been over that, you know. You know, I think that's kind of goes into some other ones. Like people think this, and this is kind of people have grown out of this more and more. You know, I don't think a lot of people see this as much, but people that still like they call it cage fighting. You know, they're like, oh, two guys get in there and they just like beat each other's brains in, or like they think it's like this brutal thing, and like they don't see them as like athletes. When I'm like, dude, like you don't realize like like
kind of like big brute men, just like
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, there's people that aren't like that at all that do MMA, you know. Especially look at the UFC now. There's plenty of guys that are not like that at all.
Yeah, what would you say they're like? Like they're actually like smart people, or what do you mean?
Whatever,
exactly?
They could be anything, dude. Like I think it's a sport where like you see people come from like everywhere, every background, you know, wherever. It's
and from all over the world.
Yeah, all over the world. That's a big thing, you know. You don't see. I would say like soccer is probably the biggest sport around the world, maybe. But I think fighting. I think I saw this or heard this somewhere. It's like fighting was like the second after that. Because if you think about it, if you take the whole world into account, you know, like how many countries actually play baseball, actually play basketball, actually, you know, like not that many.
That's a really good point.
And like there's fighters from every single country, you know, and.
It's such like an instinctual thing too.
Yeah,
like we all kind of have it built into us.
That's
a
what
little bit.
Like Joe Rogan said it one time. It's like it's such a pure thing, you know. Like obviously we can't take two people, throw them in a field, like just say all right, first one, like last one standing that's alive wins. Like we can't do that. Like yeah, that would be more of like a brutal thing. But like as far as like what we've made it now, you know, like we've given it the rules that are necessary to make it a sport. And I think it's such a pure thing, you know. Like, it's there's so much you're allowed to do within it, you know. I don't really know. Like it's just like, you know, soccer you can't use your hands. Football you can't kick somebody or whatever. You know, there's boundaries on a court, whatever it may be, you know. Whereas a cage is like, all right, there's no one else in there.
Wow, that's a good point.
You know, I don't know. It's just like, and it's like, how do you, like in football, it's like, how do you beat this person? You score, or whatever sport. It's like, how do you beat this person? Well, you show that you are better than them, you know, like with whatever way you want to do it. You know, you don't get to the end zone. You don't like make a goal. You don't hit a home run. And so you don't take a wooden bat. You have to use this wooden bat and hit this like leather ball a certain distance and run a certain distance to show, okay, that equals 1 point. It's like it's so fluid and like
it's like an innate understanding.
Yeah,
like it's somebody watching that, even like probably a child.
Yeah,
they don't have to understand the rules of it. They just get it. They just understand it.
Yeah, and it's weird because at the same time, like there's so much that we know naturally, but there's so much of it that's like it's not set in stone. You know, it's like just because this guy's on top doesn't necessarily mean he's winning. You know, like you know that from jiu-jitsu, you know.
That's what I always thought. Guard. I always thought guard was better for the person in guard, but that's not the case at all.
Yeah, usually you know, MMA maybe. You know, if the person on bottom is good though, you know, you're seeing guys now. I don't know if you know who Brian Ortega is, but like you don't want to be in that guy's guard. He's a featherweight in the UFC, and the guy's just like crazy good at jiu-jitsu, and like you don't want to be in his guard. You know, I would argue that anybody on the ground and guard, even though they're on top, he's probably in a better position, you know?
Okay.
It's saying something when you're like, yeah, you're on top of me and you can throw punches at my face, but I'm in a better position than you right now, you know? Like,
yeah, that's a good point.
So I think that's a
good way to look at it.
That's a weird thing with MMA, you know? Plus it's not limited like boxing, and like it's not like wrestling you can't hit, boxing you can't kick, you know? Kickboxing you can't take people down, like all that different stuff. So that's something again that I think draws me to it, but yeah, I don't know. It's different, but at the same time, it's so like almost common in a sense. Like all of us have that ability to kind of like perform it in some way, you know.
Okay.
And as far as like stereotypes about it, like I think that's why it's called mixed martial arts. Like you're if you think about it, like you see all these other like taekwondo and karate and people like they just go out by themselves and they perform like all these like moves in front of judges and they score them on like how they perform the moves, and I'm like, this is the best way because you're literally showing you can do this the best because you're doing it to another person who's trying to not let you do that to them, you know.
Yeah.
Like that's why I think they call it mixed martial arts. It's not brutal street fighting. It's not instinct. Like you're literally trying to. There's still like things to go by, right? Like a street fight, it's just like mostly hit back and forth, try not to get hit, finish on top, and beat the guy up. When really you're like, you start to learn like slip a punch, counter, like pivot out this way. You know, if your opposite stances, your foot needs to be to the outside. Like all the things about that, and then I think that's where it comes into play of realizing like these aren't like brutes in a cage. with like, bare knuckle, like biting each other. It doesn't. You can't do that stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Other than that, I don't think there's really many stereotypes about it. I think it's catching on. I think people are starting to realize that. I think the common fan base is kind of catching on to more the technique side of it. I mean, don't get me wrong.
People like Joe Rogan are so important for the sport as well.
Exactly, and he helps bring that out. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'd love to see two guys plant their feet and like throw haymakers back and forth, but at the same time, like
high school fights. You always see the high school fight videos.
Yeah, like if I see two of the best MMA fighters just like going at it, like that's fun to watch. But at the same time, like to see somebody just like slip a punch and hit a perfectly timed wheel kick and like hit somebody like pinpoint with their heel after like spinning around 360 degrees to like hit them right in the right spot on their jaw. I'm like, dude, that's hard to do.
Right.
Like with the guy that doesn't want to get hit by that, Like imagine if somebody come up to you and they're like, hey, you can move all inside this 30-foot circle, but I'm going to make my heel hit like the corner of your jaw. You can't. Like, you can't do that. I'm going to keep my hand up. But then like you fake a takedown, they drop their hands to stop the takedown, and then you hit it on them. It's crazy. Like I would rather see something like that than just seeing two guys go at it.
That's such a good point. Like taking that to the jaw like that. Like he doesn't want that to happen.
Exactly.
Maybe that's your answer, right? Like you don't want to get hit in the face. Like your friends always asking, why do you want to get hit in the face? Like, no, that's not. I don't want to get hit in the face.
And
that's the whole point.
That's what's so hard about the sport. Like people don't see all the preparation, all the like technique that really goes into something like that's hard to do. Like on one end, you could get lucky. But on the other end, like when a guy's trying to not let you do that to him, I mean, because I could just say like, all right, I'm gonna cover up the side of my face with my hand. You're not gonna hit me in it. But then you're like, all right, I got to get him to move that hand, like, and time it to where he's not thinking about it, and hit him there before he brings that hand back to his face. Like that's something that's hard to do, and I think people don't realize that. They think they're just beating each other up. I would say that's probably the biggest stereotype.
Just the ignorance to it.
Yeah, and like I get some people can't help it, but I would say don't take your opinion so strongly. Like if you don't know anything about it, So which goes for anything.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, it does go for everything.
Yeah, like
people used to always say that with soccer too.
Like I wouldn't
foot fairy, and it's like no, you don't understand like the whole art of the game and like the flow of the game. It's like you're talking out of ignorance right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't be like, all right, well in football I'm just gonna grab the ball and run down the field. I'm not gonna let anybody tackle me. I'm like, okay, well,
there's a lot more to it.
Exactly, and I'm like, there's just times where like people are gonna tackle you. Like you gotta avoid 11 guys on the other side of the field, and it's like that's why they have certain plays and like sports evolve. That's why you see guys do stuff with technique in MMA now that like you watch. Like we were talking about earlier, 1990s UFC, it kind of was more just guys like beating on each other, And like that's back when you would have like a boxer versus a wrestler, and now it's like you might not even make it to the UFC if you're just a boxer or just a wrestler. You really gotta take it all seriously and really take the technique side of it into account.
So would you say there's a more dominant martial art in comparison? Like, well, I guess broadly speaking, I was going to say wrestling versus jiu-jitsu, but like. If you had to choose, I guess, one martial art to be the dominant one.
Man, I don't know. Like, that's something people have asked me. Like,
it's a hard
that
question.
A lot. And they also ask me like, which one's your favorite? And that's tough, And obviously, the best answer is like good of them all. My favorite one is MMA, if any of them, right? Like all of them together. But man, it's so tough because. It's almost like it's just like a triangle, This might be this, this might be this, this might be this, and like that means they're all 1 and 1 now. But
it's kind of like the element, what is like fire, like rock paper scissors.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what it is, And it's like rock paper scissors with like 1,000 other things in it, I could argue wrestling just because if you look at like the best MMA fighters in the world. There are a lot of successful wrestlers, right? That are a lot of people that at least started with wrestling, right? And they don't get there just with wrestling, but I think that's not as much of the martial art or the sport itself. It's more of like, I think the mindset. Wrestlers are super disciplined. They've been through months on end of cutting weight multiple times in a week, and that's just a grueling. Like a wrestling season is a grind, I think that helps a lot, like just being through that. And I think they're
it's always blowing my mind, by the way.
Yeah.
The cutting weight aspect. That is just like, That's so wild to me.
Yeah,
it's so wild to me.
It is, man. I think it's wild for all of us. It's wild to me too. But I think if I had to pick one, if someone was like, you got to pick one now, I'd probably say wrestling.
Really?
But like it's not like, it's like if here's all of them and I had to put one above, I'd put wrestling like right there. You know what I mean? Like, because there's 1,000 things to be a wrestler, you know.
Is there like a thing between like wrestlers and people in BJJ or jiu-jitsu?
Maybe as far as like the purists go, the ones that are like I would say, and I don't know, this is like I wouldn't like, because I love jiu-jitsu, but I would say it's more of like some jiu-jitsu guys that are like purists in jiu-jitsu, they're very against, like they don't want to see wrestlers come in and just like beat on the jiu-jitsu guys, right? Because wrestlers have this mindset of like top is better, and jiu-jitsu so much trying to just prove them wrong, you know. And I don't think wrestlers are trying to do it to prove other people wrong, it's just what they're taught. Whereas jiu-jitsu, I think, is more meant to prove them wrong in a sense, you know. Not always, like, you know, like I said, it could be either way. But I just see like in tournaments, like it's, and you know, this is probably rightfully so, but like, if you've wrestled before and you're going to do your first jiu-jitsu tournament, right, if you're going to do no-gi, they make you go to intermediate right away. You know, you can't do beginner. Even if you've done jiu-jitsu for a month or a week, you can't do beginner. You know, and I'm like, like, is that really fair? You know, I get it. Like, yeah, you could take them down and lay on them, but at the same time, it's like, you've never done jiu-jitsu. Like, is it really fair that, like, a guy who's been doing jiu-jitsu for a year should get to compete at a lower level than a guy who's been doing it for a week just because he's wrestled, you know?
Yeah.
I think, and for some of it is fair. Wrestlers are usually, like, athletic and good shape. They're, you know, grindy guys. But it's like, you're just trying to level the playing field because you have good people coming into your sport. It's like, if they're good at your sport, they're good at your sport, you know? Like, it's not like you have black belts competing against beginners, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. That's something that kind of irks me a little bit because I'm like, man, but we don't do jiu-jitsu. Like, if we're good at your sport, like, we're good at your sport without, like, some people are natural athletes, you know? You wouldn't take a high school football player who's a stud and be like, oh, you have to play in college. You know, like, you wouldn't, or I don't know if that's a good metaphor or a good, like, comparison, but, like, you just wouldn't do that, you know?
I kind of lost you on that comparison, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm just saying, because, like, in other words, so wrestling's another form of grappling, right? Okay. And if you compete in a jiu-jitsu tournament, right, there's different levels. So you have gi, which just goes by belt. Whatever belt you are, you compete against the same belt. Okay. Then you have no gi competition, where you don't wear a gi. And
for anybody listening, gi is like pretty much the stereotypically speaking, like the karate outfit almost.
Similar, very similar. Yeah, it's like similar. You could call it like a jacket, almost with, like, you know, you slide your arms into it. It has the top, the sleeves, pants.
Very strong material.
Yeah,
very
strong material that's meant to not rip, you know, and it can be used, like, you know, it adds friction to the sport. There's submissions off of it. Stuff like that, you know, and then you have a belt, obviously, that ties it around.
I like gi a lot more than no gi, personally.
Yeah, I don't know. I like them both a lot. You know, like, that's like me trying to pick a martial art over another one.
Okay.
I might be biased towards no gi just from MMA, maybe. I don't know. But in that aspect, I'd be biased towards MMA over no gi because you can throw punches, you know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Jiu-jitsu's a lot different when you can lay on bottom without getting punched in the face, you know. But basically, the comparison is just like, so when you go to enter a tournament in no-gi competition, there's like beginner, intermediate, and advanced, right? Where, like, if you're new, like, you enter beginner, right? I don't know what the actual... They give you guidelines, like, if you've done it for this long or if you're this belt level, you can't compete. You have to compete at least this level.
Okay.
Well, one of those things is if you have any form of grappling experience outside of jiu-jitsu at all, you have to at least do intermediate. Regardless, so if I'm brand new, gonna come straight into a jiu-jitsu competition, never trained jiu-jitsu in my life, but I've wrestled for a year, got to do intermediate. And it's like, yeah, maybe it's fair, but at the same time, it's like, so what if I'm good? Like, you just don't want me to beat the beginners because you don't want to see wrestlers beat the new guys.
Yeah.
You know? But it's like, if you get a guy who's super athletic and comes in and makes varsity, you're not gonna, you know what I mean? You don't bash him for that, like the dude made varsity, you know? So that was
I kind of understand why they do that, but I get what you're saying.
Or, like, for example, if you get a brand new guy... See, the reason this is a hard comparison is because, like, it's more of like you enjoy if you get to go on varsity. But like you can kind of look at it like if you get a brand new guy in a high school sport and you force him to go on varsity just because he's good, which obviously he would like that, because it's better competition. But it's a similar concept if you know what I'm trying to get at. Like you just they're making you go to a higher level, which I think it should be your choice.
I get what you're saying.
Like if you want the higher competition, like let's say that guy didn't want to be on varsity. Let's say he just likes to win. He doesn't really want to go anywhere with the sport. But they say you can't do JV because you're too good. It's like that. Like. It's just like, okay, well, I'm not good because I've done it for 10 years. I'm just naturally good at it.
Which I can see a lot of people liking the challenge and liking
for
to
sure.
step up to that. But I get what you're saying. Like,
at first, I was a little bummed about it, but I was like, it's better for me. So I didn't care that much. But yeah.
But also like the introduced to and to gain some confidence in the sport. I mean, not that you can in training, but like also like in competition, like to gain some competition. Or some confidence in competition.
Yeah, like let them try it. Like
exactly.
Let the guy try it once at least. You know what I mean? Or
maybe like you can do it your first tournament. After that, no.
Yeah, something.
You're done.
Just give them. And it's like ideally like they're all not going to be beginners one day anyway. The ones that never get further, like they quit. So why did it matter?
It could turn people away from the sport too.
Yeah, maybe. And just say you wrestle doesn't mean you're gonna win. Like I've seen wrestlers lose. Like I don't know. It's Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's just kind of dumb. Like, someone's good, they're good. It's going to equal out eventually. Once you get that black belt level, it doesn't really matter. It helps, but like.
What didn't you get upgraded belt wise as well recently?
I'm a blue belt. I got it last December. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like. I thought you were a blue belt.
I got a stripe a little while back. I'm a one stripe right now.
So. A one stripe blue belt.
Yeah.
And how many until it's purple next? Mm-hmm. So how many stripes until?
There's 4 on each one. So,
okay.
Yeah. So. Yep. I try to not take belts too seriously. I think.
I like the idea of a milestone.
I do like it. I like it. It's cool, and I think it's a good thing for the sport. But you look at other sports. It's like in a kickboxing match, like you might have a 10-0 record and go against somebody with a 20-0 record who's been doing it for longer than you. But you're undefeated and you're knocking everybody out. And it's like you got to take that next step up, Whereas like in jiu-jitsu, it's like, no, I'm not competing against that guy yet. He's a black belt. Yeah, I think part of it is a mindset. People will win, they just automatically think like this guy's better than me because he's a higher belt. I think people get caught up in like
too caught up.
I want my belt, not I want to be better.
So you're kind of saying like it's a good way to like set milestone to see where you are personally, but don't take it too seriously. Yeah, I mean, like always. You should be trying to improve, not trying to get the next belt. When ideally they're similar, they're kind of the same thing. Because if you're improving, you're going to get there eventually. Mm-hmm. But I think, I had a buddy that does it. He lives in a different state, but he like complaining to me. He's like, man, my dude won't give me my blue belt. He won't give it to me. And I'm like, dude, don't worry about it. Like, if you're beating all the blue belts in the room, it'll come eventually. Like, worry about beating the blue belts. Don't worry about getting yours. And if you are beating them. Why does it matter what color your belt is? True.
Like, go to competitions, enter the blue belt division, beat them all. Like, who cares what color yours is?
I know, like, me personally, just to put a little comparison, you're a one-stripe blue belt. Yeah. I'm a no-stripe white belt. And that didn't discourage me at all. Like, I really didn't think about, like, the stripes.
Exactly.
I don't think I deserve a stripe, personally, like, at all, at this point in time. But it was more just like okay, like, especially with the money aspect, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna like go in. I'm just gonna get as much as I can out of this practice, and I'm gonna do the same thing tomorrow. And that's what everyone should do.
Like, what is a piece of tape on a belt that you wear? Like to make you better. You know what I mean? Like if anything, it's maybe a little bit of like mental confidence. Maybe. But I mean, and that's the thing. Like, you shouldn't need that.
The value you place on that.
You shouldn't need that to gain that confidence. And. I'd much rather be the white belt beating blue belts than the blue belt losing the white belts, So,
okay, yeah. Absolutely.
Fine, like, take your time, don't give it to me. I'll try to be that dude that, like, and obviously, like, I've never had an issue with this, but like, I've heard stories, and I had a buddy that kind of went through that, and I was like, dude, just don't worry about it. Like, don't worry about it. Just be good. Like, it's like any other sport, you don't, no other sports really do anything like that. You don't get new gloves or something if you get better at boxing. You don't get new. I mean, I don't know. I can't even think of anything like that in other sports. But you're just good. People see you're like, man, that guy's good. So I try to look at it the same way. Like, beat everybody else, be good, and like
exactly.
And like it'll come, and when it comes, like that's a cool moment.
Don't put too much importance on that stride.
Yeah. And then when you do get it, it's like a big surprise, and you're like, oh, this is cool. Like you can enjoy that moment,
Absolutely.
Without ruining every practice you go to because you didn't get it before that. So
that's a really like healthy way to look at it. I like that.
Yeah, for sure.
So why do you think the common person who's maybe not trying to pursue like anything MMA related should try at least some martial art? And then also, so for your like common person, what martial art would you recommend?
So I would say, I mean, there's like a ton of reasons of why people should try it. A big one is it's just like super humbling. I think, like, especially if you're somebody that like you just fight people out on the street and you think like you're the best and everything. It's like you can come into MMA, like you can beat everybody on your street, nobody in the gym. It's like,
wait, what martial art is it?
If I had to pick one, I'd say to start at least, if you're just gonna try one, probably try jiu-jitsu. I think just because probably the least amount of injuries for the most part.
That's what I was telling somebody, and they thought I was crazy for this, but I'm like, I might actually be. I don't know. This is a tight one, but I think I might actually be more likely to get hurt in a soccer game than I would be in bowling jiu-jitsu, at least in practice.
And that's a huge possibility. Like I would maybe agree with that too. Because at least in practice, and even in a match, like it's partially up to you. Like if you really want to fight out of that submission, like you're taking that risk. But if your main goal is don't get injured, like you probably won't get injured, And obviously stuff happens, you might tweak something, but you're probably not going to snap your arm. Like if your main goal is I don't want to get injured.
Maybe take an elbow to the head on accident.
If you take it from the perspective of I don't want to do the sport because I don't want to get injured, if that's your main mindset, go into it with that mindset, you probably won't get injured. Whereas like, boxing, wrestling, it's possible. In practice, I would almost say probably not. Stuff happens when you get serious about it, but chances are if you're serious about it, you're probably not too worried about that anymore because you understand the risks. But, yeah, man, I think the fact that people will play football and will not try MMA because they're afraid to get injured.
That's wild to me.
It baffles me because the amount of concussions in football compared to mixed martial arts is unreal. And I'd say even worse than that is I've known football players who get concussions and come back next week and play in the game. Whereas in MMA, if you get knocked out, you're suspended for like 6 months, and you don't even train for maybe a month or two. You don't do anything. You recover.
I didn't realize that. Wow.
Like, and we have refs to stop it. Like you got to think in football, you get concussed mid-game and you don't know it. You go to the next play. Maybe you just got hit again and again. MMA, you get knocked out, fight's over. Ref stops it. Like the referee's job is to protect the fighters. Like that's their main job. Like I've heard, I know Joe Rogan's had a couple on his podcast, stuff like that. Like they say, our main job before anything else is protect the fighters. And like when I go into fights, they tell us our first job for anything else in there is to protect you from injury and from like damage. Like that's their main job. Whereas like in the NFL, it's like, oh, we need you out there. Or not even NFL, in football in general, I just can't like, and obviously part of it, like it's a new sport. People don't understand it as well yet, and I think the visuals of it, what it comes off as, like people trying to hit each other, yeah. But at the same time, I've played football and I've heard coaches like you're trying to take the guy out, you're trying to hit him as hard as you can, People think in MMA like, oh, well, they're trying to hit each other. I'm like, well, you're trying to hit each other in football too. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'm like, I've seen dudes run head first into each other, and I'd much rather get punched in the face than have a 250-pound guy collide head on with me while we're both running at 15 miles an hour at each other.
Yeah,
like I've worn those helmets. It's still,
especially if he's trying to take you out. Like you're like a valuable player or something.
Or even if you're not, like, I mean, you're still like you get aggressive. You get aggressive. You're trying to like hit the guy and knock him down. And it's like
throws a shoulder into your hip or something.
Yeah, especially if it's like there's head-on collisions in football, and like I've worn those helmets, dude, and I'm sure they weren't the best, like what people have in the NFL, but still, it's like you're not. I've worn headgear in boxing, dude. I've worn football helmets. You're still getting hit, and I'd much rather get punched in the face than that any day. That sucks. I remember it happened to me one time. Granted, I'm not the biggest, but that guy wasn't too big either. And like I just like my head was just like the compression and decompression of the helmet. even. Like, you think that it helps, and I'm sure it did help. It's probably better than no helmet. But,
absolutely.
But it sucked, dude. I was like, dude, this does not feel good. I had a headache and everything. It was bad. Like, I did not like it at all, and I don't get that in MMA, like, ever. Plus, like, in practice, a lot of times people still hit each other, like, it's hard, you know? Maybe not like the quarterback, or maybe not all teams, but, like, in MMA, you don't try to kill each other every single day.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I think...
When did you play football, by the way?
I played freshman year.
Okay.
So, that was it. And it was cool. I liked it, but I was like, man... I was talking to my wrestling coach, and he was like, you know, you're missing preseasons. And I was like, yeah, I'm missing preseasons for wrestling. I was like, you know, I wanted to be an MMA fighter. I was like, as fun as this is, like, I gotta make this sacrifice. Like, because I still want to play baseball. I still want to play football. I just, you know.
And you've had the experience.
Yeah, and it was fun. I enjoyed it, you know. Like, I remember I got my first touchdown. I was like, all right, like, that was pretty cool, you know. But I was like, it's not as cool as winning a fight. So, yeah, I would say, like, if people are going to try sport, man, try jiu-jitsu, and it really humbles you. I mean, all of them humble you for sure. Like you walk around the street and you realize, like, dude, like 99%. I tell people all the time, 99% of fights don't really have to happen. Like,
sometimes it's just miscommunication. Like,
yeah,
you're
really
talking
are.
on the streets, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, just in general, outside of any fight. Like, I've never been in a fight ever. My whole life, you know. People are like, what? You've been boxing since you were 12 years old? You never? I'm like, yeah, I don't. I realize, like, you realize I don't need to. Like, who am I proving this to?
It's a good point.
I'm going to go back to my gym and be like, hey, I beat up some bum off the street that's never trained in his life.
You're not getting any high fives for that.
They're probably going to be mad. They're going to be like, why'd you do that? You probably didn't need to. Unless you're protecting yourself or somebody else. Like, probably didn't need to. And, because most fights, people don't just run up and, like, punch you in the face.
Right.
That's the 1%, you know? Usually, this guy gets mad, he gets in his face, they get closer. One guy pushes, he pushes back, someone throws a punch, you know? If you just sit there and you're like, all right, you know, like you're not into it, chances are the guy's not just going to hit you in the face. It's really rare. If you're sitting in a chair, no, it's pretty rare someone's going to come up and just, like, push you out and start beating your face into the ground.
That's a good point.
Like,
that's a really good point.
They just don't have to happen. That's why I tell people, man, I think doing a martial art teaches you that. You're like, man, this is... Because you learn, you're like, yeah, I could beat that guy up, but that doesn't prove anything. I'm gonna go in Sunday and get beat up by all my friends in the gym, you know? Like, I'm not beating a world class fighter. Like, that should be your goal. Like, beat these guys in these MMA fights, the guys that train. Like, doing something out on the street doesn't prove anything at all.
Nothing.
It's just like, you know, like, do it if you have to, and that's why, like, that's another thing. Another great reason to do martial arts is, like, you have that in case you do need it.
It's like you've already proved everything to yourself already.
Yeah, you know, you're like, man, this doesn't mean anything. And it's also something good to have in your back pocket, because for that 1%, you know, for those situations in public where you're like, all right, I do need to do something, like, and I'm somebody who's capable of facing this situation.
Especially you go to a nightclub, like, no joke, my roommate down at school, this was back in Kansas City, like where he's from. But he said he went out and he has no clue why, but some dude picked him up and threw him on his head. Yeah. For absolutely no
reason.
That's
that 1%, you know, and it's like, you know, if you're in the situation, or if you're a bystander or a friend in the situation, plays martial arts can help you.
It's good to have those skills,
whether you do it all, which I would say is the best, you know, even if you don't fight, just to train, or if you just do jiu-jitsu, or you just want to box or wrestle or kick, whatever it may be. You know, I would say, like, it's a huge benefit. It's a huge thing to have. You know, it gets you in shape. It humbles you. You're safer in a lot of situations, you know. Just everything. I think it's good for you. Teaches you discipline, all that stuff. Yeah.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. There's tons of benefits to it, man. And honestly, like, you get to know good people. You know, you're in an environment where everyone's like that. Everyone's humbled, you know.
That's what I was amazed by. The culture, like, within Wolfstead. I don't know if that's, exclusively to that gym, but I bet a lot of other gyms have, like, a great culture, like, amongst. And you get to know the guys, get to meet a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure. You know, you're with like-minded people, and, you know, you see people other people change. People go through things that you went through, you know, and you can help them. And I would say it's definitely something that Wolfstead has, like, that's really good. It's definitely like a big appeal there. I don't think there's any bad blood within our gym between people, you know. And like stuff happens, you know. You guys go hard in sparring, but you're fine the next day. You're fine, you know. It's like you're fine right after the round. Like it's just you're sparring. You're trying to like improve. You go hard in a roll. You don't hate each other after, you know. And it's like you tap somebody out, and you're like, okay, like they're helping me. They're not hurting me if they submit me, you know. Like I can learn from this. Like this person just helped me. You don't have to get mad at them for that, you know. And yeah, I just think.
And if you do get mad at them, it's only hurt yourself.
Yeah, really, it's like, unless they do something stupid, but like I said, that doesn't happen. I've been at the gym for 2 years now. I've been training MMA for 2 years. I've never seen anybody just continue to hold a submission and try to injure them after somebody taps on purpose. Like, I've never seen someone get in a rear naked choke and the person starts obviously tapping and they just choke them unconscious on purpose. I've never seen that happen. I've hardly seen anybody go unconscious. I think I've maybe seen it happen once or twice, and it was in drilling. Like, the person didn't realize, like, they didn't really realize they were going out, and the guy stood up.
Oh, so they didn't tap. So
yeah, they didn't even mean to tap. Like, they didn't even realize, like, it was, like, it kind of just happened real quick, like, it was just, I think it was like a gi choke, and, like, they just went out faster than they realized. Like, they thought they were fine, and before they knew it, like, they might not have been able to tap, and then they woke up and they were fine. We laughed about it. Like, okay, like, no damage, It's not like other sports where, like, you're really taking a risk every time, Like, I would say football, like, even outside of concussions, dude, like knee injuries and, like, basketball and football, and so I see that stuff all the time, It happens in fighting, too, Like, I have kind of a bad neck. It happens, but it's nothing.
What do you mean by bad neck?
I don't know. It gets tweaked a lot. I've had it since, I think it's just from, like, wrestling in high school.
Okay. Have you gone to a chiropractor by chance?
Yeah, it's better. It's not, it's like, I can move, like, it doesn't hurt right now. But there's some days, like, I'll drill something or I'll roll with somebody, they'll get me in a guillotine, I'll wake up the next day. Or maybe I even slept funny. And I'll just, like, for a couple of days, I'm like, man, what did I do? And for a while, I thought, like, it wasn't, like, something wrong. I thought it was each individual thing, like, causing something. But then I realized it's the same spot every single time. So I'm like, there's probably something wrong with it.
Okay.
But it's not that bad. Like I said, I mean, I fight with it, So
that's actually this happened right before starting training last summer.
Yeah.
I was working a job, and it was like a serving job, and I had just like a few moments because it's a very quick pace.
Yeah.
So I had a few moments, and I pull my neck this way, right?
Yeah.
And I pull it, and I'm just like forcing it. And if I was like sitting around, I wouldn't have done this, but I forced it too much, and I just hear this loud pop.
Yeah.
And for 14 months, literally like probably 2 weeks ago, I started getting it, work on it. But for 14 months, it's like I was unable to like bend it. Like,
yeah,
it's significantly
that's kind of how mine
better.
is. Like, I can't really go. Like, it hurts to go this way when I turn it when it gets bad.
Yeah, and it's something you could live with the rest of your life.
Yeah,
but it kind of sucks.
You don't want to though.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm sure one day, I mean, ideally, like, I can go big and find somebody who can, like, fix that. But it's not like I broke my arm and I'm just walking around with my arm hanging down, So.
Well, it was actually there's a chiropractor right in town. It's really cool. Pretty much all we do is I've only gone in like 3 times, but I'll lay down on the thing and it'll pop my neck real quick.
Yeah,
and
that's what.
I love that.
I know. I went to.
It's like a weird obsession.
I go to one every now and then. I've been to a couple different ones, and like, it feels good for a little while, but like the next day I wake up and I'm like, I feel a little bit better, and then 2 days later I'm like, it's back.
Okay.
I don't know.
So it hasn't done much good. Okay.
Yeah. But I don't know. I just kind of learned, like, if I just leave it alone, quit trying to stretch it and crank it and do all this stuff to it, that's like the best thing for it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So, do you have any tips for the speed bag? Because I suck. I'm so bad at the speed bag.
let me. So this is when I was taught to use it.
Or speed bag for anybody listening that doesn't know what it is. I think a good comparison is that thing in the back of your
That's
throat.
what everyone says. Yeah. It's the one that hangs down on the platform, and people kind of like rotate their hands like in a circular motion and hit it. So I'd say a couple things that, like, I see people do wrong, or that I was told when I started, is like, look at the same spot right in the middle on the platform. Don't look at the bag and try to follow it. You look at, like, a spot on the back of the platform right in the middle. Yeah. And then another thing that a lot of people do is after they hit it, like, they bring their hands way too low. And what happens is, so whether you're using one hand or 2 hands, they'll hit it and bring their hand low, and a lot of times they're following the bag too. And when it comes time to hit it, they have to bring their hand up and hit it. Whereas if you, like, hit it and bring it back right away, it's more of this motion as opposed to, like, up and then, like, every time you come to hit it, it's like hit return as opposed to return hit, right? Because when you have to think of, all right, it's time to hit it, return to my face, and then hit the bag, it's like too late,
Okay.
As opposed to, like, you return right away. And I think that's a good thing that teaches, like, it helps in boxing and fighting too, because it teaches you to bring your hands right back to your face.
Okay,
Instead of
that's
like throw
a
a
good
punch
point.
and like drop low. A lot of people, I mean, I've done it before too. You throw a punch and you drop your hands right after. You don't bring it right back to your face, which leaves you open. I say those are my 2 tips. Yeah, bring your hands right back to your face after you hit it, and look at the same spot in the back of the platform. That's what I do.
And it's just rhythm at that point.
Yeah, at that point it's rhythm, and switching hands, you kind of just get used to like make sure it's at the right level. Some people use it like way too low, and they're like kind of looking down. Some people try to do it way too high, and they're like leaning back really far. Okay. Make sure it's at the right level. I like it. I like it probably a little high compared to most people, but.
So you don't want to do a circular motion? Do you?
Yeah. You can't. No. You can do a circular motion, but I think what a lot of people in trying to do that, what they do is because obviously you're not just gonna like spin your hand like without thinking of the bag, right? You're gonna try to. Like time it when it's time to hit it. That's when you go. You're not just gonna like move your hand at a certain pace regardless of the speed of the bag. You know what I mean? So like once you get good at it, like it'll kind of be like reaction because you'll be doing it so quick. That's why you see people just like going like in a circular motion over and over again hitting the bag. But in reality, it's just because they're going so fast that it looks so smooth. Okay. But like if you focus on returning your hand to your face every time, by the time it's not like a one-time thing. You gotta think like return hit, and it's gonna be a real smooth like, and it's like over and over again, kind of. Okay. I don't know. Once you think about it in that sense, because by the time you return, it's gonna be time to hit again. So it's not gonna be like a back and forth. It's gonna be a circular motion. It's gonna be like a never-ending thing. If that makes sense.
No, that makes
I don't know
sense,
if that helps, but that's kind of how I would.
And especially with the eye in the one spot, that helps. Yeah, it does help.
Because another issue people have is the bag goes all over the place. That's why I say if you look at the same spot, what people do is they try to follow the bag and they don't move their hand along the same path every time, so they hit it. It's round, obviously. You hit it at a different angle, it's gonna go like different directions every time. Okay. Whereas like if you're hitting it with the same like on the same track. It's going to be in the same spot every time you hit it. You're going to hit it.
Just back and forth instead of bang, bang.
You got to think if you hit a ball, right? If you hit a ball slightly off center, it's going to go a little bit to the side. Whereas if you hit it in the center every single time, it's going to go straight forward and back.
That's a great comparison.
So that's kind of why I tell people, like, that's what my coach told me. He's like, just look at the same spot right up here on the back of the platform, and then, like, make the bag hit that spot is a thing.
Oh, so aim for the bag to hit that spot. That's a good way to think about it.
So
okay.
That's what I did, and it helped a lot.
So do you catch it? So if it's here hanging, and it hits back here, do you catch it on its way back, or do you catch it when it hits here again and then on its way back?
So it's gonna do 3. It's gonna go back, front, back, hit.
Oh, really? So it's going that quick?
That's a mistake a lot of people make is they think that you're just hitting it so fast it's just hitting the back and hitting your hand back and forth. The bag is going. So it's like a hit, and it goes 1, 2, 3, hit, 1, 2, 3, hit, 1, 2, 3, hit.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So that's the rhythm and at that point.
Yeah, that's part of it. I would say that. I mean, it's still like a skillful thing with guys that get fancy with it and they do other things with it. They'll go like back and forth with it and use their elbows and spin and stuff. But I think it makes it sound a little faster than what you're really going because you got to think that bag is hitting 3 times. Between every time you hit it once, Yeah. So it makes it seem a little bit. That's why you see people are like, dude, look at that guy, and like it can still be hard, especially if you get a little bag and it's really tight, like it's aired up like a whole bunch, and it's gonna like go really fast back and forth. But it definitely, I think it sounds a little cooler than it is, if I'm being honest. Like.
Kind of like a party trick kind of deal.
Yeah. I mean, it's still obviously not an easy thing to do, for everybody. But yeah, kind of like a party trick. Okay. For sure.
Well, I will say it's one of those things that's like really impressive to me. I'm just like, yeah, because that makes a lot more sense once you understand the technique. Mm-hmm. It's not. Yeah. Not saying it's not as impressive, but it's still really impressive. But it makes more sense. Yeah, for sure. And understanding it is a big part of it. Because like when I started the same thing. Like I was like, all right, I just gotta hit this thing fast, and like I see people all the time, like they just try to like hit it between the platform and their hand, and it's like impossible. Like it's not impossible. I've seen like people do it before, but that's like nobody just walks up and does that. Okay, yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm actually out of questions. Yeah, really? Yeah. All right, man. Yeah, I mean, it was cool. That was awesome. You enjoyed it? Yeah. I've never done a podcast before, so like I said, I've done some interviews and stuff, but. I think this is honestly probably cooler just because
it's more like open, like
more
conversation. Yeah, and like you don't have like you don't feel like you're like rushed or anything. Yeah, it's cool, and it's less about like one topic. You can kind of branch off a little bit too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I will say this too. There's a quote. I think his name's Napoleon Hill.
Okay.
It's in this book that I like. And it's actually right over there. Think You Grow Rich, the one on the top.
Okay.
I've read it like a few years back. I'm rereading it now. But it's something along the lines of like, if you believe in yourself enough, then you'll cause other people to believe in you.
Yeah.
And I going off of that, I want to say that I think with my like limited knowledge and like my experience of like soccer and sports and all that, and I think you have an awesome mindset, and it's really causing me to like believe in you more and really appreciate and support like where you're going with this.
Thank you, man. That hearing stuff like that means a lot to me. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. And yeah, dude. I mean, that's a cool quote too. Like, I would say that's 100% accurate. Like. You believe in yourself. What was it? How's it go? So
if you believe in yourself, then you will cause other people to believe in you as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you got to think like if people are like, how do you think you're gonna do this weekend? And you're like, probably gonna lose. Like people are like, oh, he's probably gonna lose. like you never hear like I'm gonna use fighting because that's what I pay attention to. But like,
absolutely,
you listen to a press conference, you're like, most of them are either. A lot of them talk smack. They're like, I'm going to dominate this guy. Like, it's a mindset, even if they don't, or even if, like, it's just a mindset. Like, you have to believe in yourself to do anything, really, So, yeah, man, that means a lot. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the mindset's what's going to make, I think that's what's going to differentiate, like, an average in the pro aspect or amateur aspect as well in comparison to, like, somebody else. Like, I think that mindset's what's going to take you as far that obviously your technique, your abilities as well, but I just the mindset that you have, especially at 20 years old, I just think it's a very how would I word this? I guess just advanced. Like it's and I think that's what's I don't know. It really caused me to believe in you. So
well, thank you, man. Yeah, I would say that's a big thing for me. Is because like I've been through like times where. I started down like everyone does it. Like you get self-doubt, like with no matter what it is. Like, and like I would get through points. I was like, man, what if I don't find an MMA gym? Like I don't know. What if they're not good? What if like I said, there were some times like boxing wasn't working out. I was like, man, what if this is it? What if I don't make it? And then I kind of started to take like into my senior year and like beginning of college more seriously, which isn't a bad thing. I'm not saying that like it's a bad thing. You should always take whatever you're doing seriously, but I was doing it because I was doing it out of being afraid that I wouldn't find anything to do. Like when I first started at Wolves Den, like I said, I went to college soon after at Mizzou, and obviously I couldn't train at Wolves Den every day, being in Columbia. Wolves Den's in Wentzville. And I was just like, man, like this is the next 4 years. Like this is a lot of time I could be getting with. Like I really realized like how much of a gym I stumbled upon, like going to this gym. Like two different gyms there. I don't know. I didn't want to confuse people.
Wait, you're talking about Wolves then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They were like when I found them, I was like, at first I was like, are all gyms like this? Kind of what I thought, and then I realized like, oh, they're not. Like this place. Because they're kind of new. They've only been around for like 2 or 3 years, So I think that's if somebody doesn't know about them, like that's probably the main reason. But like I realized real quick, like holy crap, like I really have like a good place here. I have good teammates, good partners. There's a good environment. I have amazing coaches, and that was the thing, man. Like keeping that mindset of like every time there's self-doubt, like things just kind of started to work out, and like I would just tell myself like I'm either gonna find a way or it's gonna work out, like. Or almost, I guess I should flip-flop that. If it doesn't work out, I'm going to find a way, right? Mm-hmm. That was kind of like mindset's a huge thing because if I would have, like I said, if I would have kind of accepted that and be like, all right, you know what? Like I was going to be like maybe a lawyer or something like that. And I was like, all right, I'm going to be a lawyer. Like I could have done that. And then like I kind of got into it for a little bit because I was like, oh, they make good money. And then I was sitting back one day and I was like, man, this is like, people always told me I'd be good at it. Like it's kind of what I go back to earlier. You are what you love, not who loves you. This kind of played a small part in that for me. Everyone told me like how good I'd be at it because like when I get into an argument, I'm very like adamant about certain things and like like people want to call it stubborn, call it what you will, but like, and my opinion is like, if you don't prove me wrong, I'm not just gonna cave in an argument.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
point, yeah.
Like, and like it makes me come off as stubborn, you know, because I'm sticking to my guns. But it's more like I'm a very logical person when it comes to everything. Like, you know, don't get me wrong, I understand like emotions and credibility can play a part into something, but in the end, like if it's not true or it doesn't make sense, if logic kind of breaks in the middle of it, it's probably something wrong. And I just like. That's people were saying like, man, you'd be such a good lawyer, and I started to like that's where I was gonna go to school for, and I was like, man, that's gonna be another 2 years of school where like, you know, I didn't give up on fighting. I was like, I was supposed to be going pro after my 4 years of college, you know, and I just realized I was like, dude, it's not what I want to do. Like the money's cool, but like lawyers have hard jobs, dude. They do a lot of reading, you know. It's not like fun. They don't sit there like, man, I love being a lawyer like 24/7, you know.
Versus showing up to do something you love every day.
Exactly. You know, I don't want to come home every day and like complain about like how much my job sucks and be in a stressful mood for 40, 50 years of my life and like get done and have 20 years left, 10 years left to enjoy, you know? And, you know, some people, like, that's why, like, some people, I'm not saying jobs that you have to do till you're old are bad. If you do what you love, like, that's that one, that, you know, we're talking about so many quotes on this, that one that's like, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life, you know, and I think there's a lot of truth to that, you know, or at least the work you do will be enjoyable, you know, because I think you're still doing work, you know, in a sense. It just depends on what your definition of work is. But my mindset came in really heavy there, dude, and I was like, it's kind of one of the things that kind of like maybe transfer closer. And I was like, dude, that's kind of when I said, like, I'm gonna make this happen. Like
away from Mizzou.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
How long were you at Mizzou for?
I was only there for a semester, you know, and I was like,
okay.
You know, I could wrestle here, and maybe that'll help with going pro, you know, because it's a good place. They have a really good wrestling team. And I was like, man, you know, like, it's just like, then I kind of started taking school more seriously. I think for maybe the wrong reason. I was taking it seriously because I didn't think what I wanted to do was going to work out, as opposed to taking it seriously because that's what I wanted to do. You know? Okay, yeah. And like I thought, like I was telling myself like I want to be a lawyer, and everyone's kind of getting hyped about it. You know, you go off to college, your parents get excited, whatever. And I was just like, man, this isn't like it's not what I want to do. You know, and like, you know, I'm still getting my degree, whatever. But I don't know. That's where I think like having a good mindset really sets people apart. Like you know, we're talking about like Joe Rogan. I was listening to one. There's a really good MMA fighter. He's like he's an Olympian wrestler. His name is Ben Askren. And they were talking about how you see like a lot of when you have like a kid with big dreams that also has like plans of how to achieve those dreams. Those kids want to do like big things, you know, regardless of what it is. They were talking about athletics like in specific, but you know, because you hear a lot of kids that are just like, I'm gonna be, you know, how many kids when you're a little kid they're gonna be in the NFL or they're gonna be, you know, in the NBA, right?
Everyone.
Or how many people
or an astronaut.
Exactly. And then like you have all these other people and it's just like they have things planned out but they're like they don't really want to do it, you know. And when you combine the two things, you know, that's where you see kids go like do big things when they grow older, you know. Like you keep that kid like mindset, that innocence of doing a big thing with the adult mindset of how to achieve it, you know. And I think what happens is people slowly drift from one to the other. You know, they have their big dreams, and then as they realize how to achieve it, they kind of start seeing how hard it is, they start seeing why they can't do it, and they let self-doubt sink in, you know.
Yeah.
That's why mindset's so important. I'm like, if you keep that kid-like mindset, or if you gain that kid-like mindset later in your life, whatever, you know, just having both of those, I think people, those are people that go on to do big things. Like you're realistic with yourself, but you're also not limiting yourself because of how realistic you're being. You know, you're taking your dreams and you're saying like this can be a reality, or you're taking like reality and you're like I can use this to achieve my dreams. Like whichever way it goes, it doesn't matter. But I think that was a big thing. You know, I was 12. I was like, all right, I got to start wrestling. You know, and I thought boxing was cool at the time. Like I was like, wrestling is not going to be as cool as boxing. You know, I was like, I need to do this if I'm really, really going to make this work.
Uh-huh.
And I think transferring was kind of maybe a risk. You know, just because like I was at a good school. I kind of set in. I'm not going to go to law school now. You know, and but I was like gonna do like what I want to do. So, yeah, man, mindset's huge. That's what I think has gotten me through most things, and that's what keeps me going all the time. And there's times you find yourself not like lining up with it. You know, you find yourself being lazy, or find yourself, you know, with self-doubt, like I said earlier, whatever it is. But having that mindset, you know, and everyone's might be a little different. That's what's going to get you there, I think.
That's profound. Yeah. That's profound, because anybody can focus on all the reasons that they can't do something.
Yeah.
But also, like, if you want to ask yourself the question, like, what are you going to regret not doing, too?
Yeah,
you know? Like,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. You know? And
you don't want to be that person that's 50 years old, like, oh, what could have been, or 60, 70, like.
Exactly, you know? And it's like, chances are, if you're saying that, it's about something that you wanted to do, you know?
Exactly.
Most of the time. Like nobody, I'm not going to be like 60 being like, oh, man, I could have been in the NBA if I would have committed every second to it from birth, you know? It's like, I don't care. Like, that's not what I wanted, or been a doctor or whatever. Yeah, it's like, I don't know, man. It's something, it's something that I'm thankful that I guess I have that, like that trait, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, anybody can do that. It's not like you have to go out and do like a bunch of grueling work to get that mindset, you know? It's just like, you do it like with yourself. I don't really know how, you know? It's like everybody can do it. Everybody can have that mindset.
And I really like what you said with the little kid aspect, too.
Yeah.
Like, because my buddy, I did a podcast with him recently, and he said something like along those exact lines. He's like, Jordan, you're still like a little kid. Like, you still want to like do all these big things. And I was like, yeah, of course. And it was interesting because he was my old roommate as well, or one of my old roommates. And it was interesting, like, hearing from his perspective, like, his perception of me and how I'm like I just couldn't see the world in a different way. Like, I couldn't see myself not trying this podcast. I'd regret it if I didn't.
Yeah, 100%. I know exactly what you're talking about, because I think part of it, because, like, I was thinking about that one time, and I was like, you know, like the whole thing between like a boy and a man. I'm like, man, I think a lot of men they're still boys deep down. We still like the same stuff. We still have the same sense of humor. You know what I mean? We still like cool stuff, like whatever
kids at heart
guys like, you know. And I think part of it is like people I think see people like you and me in that aspect of doing things like that as like kids, because they kind of did that exact thing I said earlier. You know, they went on, well, what's a more quote unquote achievable thing to do?
What's more realistic?
What's something that society considers realistic or attainable, right? When, like, how are you going to say that's not attainable when that guy is literally doing it right now? You know, it's still attainable. You just have to do something a little unorthodox to achieve it. So
if another man can do it, you can do it as well. Yeah,
exactly. And if nobody has yet, that doesn't mean you can't either. You know, like, look at all, like, people think you try to do something new and they're like, that's never been done before. But look at all the things that at one point were never done before, you know? Like, look at where we are. Like, we have lights. We need, you know what I mean? Like, at one time there wasn't electricity, you know? Who was sitting there saying, like, I'm going to make something like bring light to a room without using, like, the sun or without a fire, you know? And, like, people are like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, I'm sure that's had to be the reaction.
Because there are always going to be people that doubt, because there's so many people that doubt themselves. And it's just something
you don't understand, you know? And that's why I think, like, some people view achieving things as, like, just hard work. They think, that's why I think people have, like, this limited mindset. Oh, you can never be in the NFL no matter how many hours you put in the gym. Well, it's like, okay, well, maybe I have to figure out something different to do to get me there, right?
Good point.
You know, like, maybe it's not just showing up and working hard. Everybody works hard nowadays, like, as far as, like, doing big things. Everyone's working hard, you know? Like, in a sport like fighting, you can't base your thought of why you're going to win off of the fact that you think the other guy's not working hard. Like, you got to think that guy's working his butt off. What do I have to do different to beat him? And, like, that's, I think...
Yeah, that's a disrespect for your competition.
Exactly, and that's how it is with everything you got to do, you know? Like, I think if you're going to go big, you're like, man, what am I going to do not to get me to be with all these guys up here, not to get me to be with all the guys in the NFL or in the UFC, what am I going to do to be better than those guys, you know? And it's like, if you're aiming to be the best out of them, like, I don't like to use the word chance, but there's a good chance you're going to be up there, you know? And I think one of the things I hear the most, and I hate hearing this, is like, what are the chances of going there? And I think, I'm like, well, let's see what the chances are, right? Because people give you, I forgot what it is. It's like 3% of athletes play in college, and like 1% of them. It's something weird like that, like go on to go pro, some weird like really low thing. I'm like, okay, well, since you want to go by chance, let's take your chance in the play here. Let's see how this goes. So you have all these people that play a sport in high school, right? Mm-hmm. Well, let's say your thing is the amount of people that go on to play sports. Okay, this many people never played a sport. This many people went to college for grades, didn't want to. This many people quit. This many people heard exactly what you're saying right now and thought, oh yeah, they're right, and they quit.
True.
This many people, like, you know, I'm like, so really, let's pick a different quote. How many people who committed everything in their life to achieving what they want to do made it? I'll bet you it's a way higher percentage than the number.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
You know? And that's why I look at it. I'm like, dude, like, how many people...
That's a really good point.
Like, people that didn't make it, I'm like, dude, did you really do every single thing you could? You know? And I'm not going to...
Did they want it as bad as I did?
Yeah.
Did they really want it as bad as I did?
And people think, like, oh, I wanted it. But I'm like, did you? Like, did you sacrifice this or that? Were you giving up, like, as a little kid, were you giving up times to hang out with your friends and, like, sit around and play video games, to go to practice, to go run 12 miles and, like, get punched in the face? Were you doing that? Like...
Or are you lying to yourself?
I doubt it. I doubt you were doing that, you know? And that's just the beginning, you know? Going to sacrificing time for practice, that's just the beginning. Like, what are you doing at practice, you know? What are you doing outside of practice? What are you doing in your everyday life? What are you doing that isn't even part of the sport, in your health? Or, you know, I'm using fighting as an example, but in whatever you want to do. Like, are you really doing every single thing you can, you know, to achieve that?
So this is something that bothers me so much, and not. I mean, it's out of my control, but it's more so whenever people complain about not achieving things. But whenever somebody says they want something and they're not doing they're not spending every free moment they have pursuing that, or they're not like they're saying those things and they're going to play video games, like you said, like that irks me. And it's like don't complain about not achieving it if you weren't putting in the work.
Exactly. No, I agree with that 100%. You know, that goes exactly with what I just said. Honestly, you know, it's like, I mean, like if you want something, go do it, go get it. I mean, I'm not the first person to say that. There's tons of people that say that all the time.
And there's so many people that are just like partially pursuing things. It just like logically doesn't make sense. It's like, do you really want it? Like, do you actually want it? Like, how you say you want it, but do you actually want it? I don't think you do, because you're not putting in the effort. It's
like what I said earlier with like your plan A versus your plan B. You know, if you put 50% of the time into your backup plan, you're only putting 50% of your time into your main goal. You know? And it's like
cut all ties.
People have this fear of like not making it, and they allow that to be the reason. Just like they use that statistic of like chance of who makes it, and that fear. We're talking about fear of not making it. That's always going to be a fear. You know, it comes like full circle. We're back here again. You know, it's like that's always there, but you got to find a way to not make that happen. There's this. So like I said, I like to if I'm going to spend my time like reading or researching anything, it usually has to do with like fitness, health, fighting, sports, something like that. So I have like my YouTube guys. I like to lift when I'm not cutting weight for a fight. So I follow some guys, and I like to watch YouTube videos in my free time. And there's this one guy. He has this video, super intelligent guy, and the title of the video is "The Only Reason to Run," right? And he got this question from a kid. And the kid asked him, like, man, I'm having trouble with motivation. The kid's like, I got this scholarship to go play, like, D1 baseball or something like that. And I'm really having, trouble being motivated to go, really continue to not just go through the motions, to be, to do more, to go beyond, to do extra, you know? And the guy told him, like, man, I bet you, so you're telling me, he was like, you know, MLB players, they make a lot. They make enough money to feed countries, some of them, you know? And he's like, if that's not enough to motivate you, you got to really reevaluate look at the chance that you're taking. He didn't say this, but the way I look at it, I'm like, look at the chance you're taking by not committing everything, as opposed to the chance you're taking by committing it all, right? Look at what you could gain out of it. Look at what you're potentially losing. So we'll use MLB as an example. If somebody doesn't, they're like, all right, I want to be a baseball player. That's hard to do. I'm going to put a lot of time into this backup plan, right? Okay, look at all the money you're really losing by not committing your time to that and not making it that far. I bet you're losing a lot more money because they make hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever, you know what I mean? Compared to and I'm not bashing any jobs, I'll say lawyer for an example. How much money are you really losing on each end, you know? Like, you're taking a bigger risk by not going all in because you're taking a risk at not making it, you know? And he said, I guarantee you if you took that D1 scholarship and that opportunity to make money and you gave it to some kid whose parents were starving in another country, right? Like, you're over here, like, you're having trouble pushing yourself to get up and run every day. That kid would run like hell every single day as hard as he can until he collapsed. Every day. Just to get, not even for that much, just to get enough money to feed his family, you know? And I was like, that's so true. Like, people, like, we have it so good here. And, like, he was like, you know, you probably live in a house with a roof over your head, and you're probably going to be okay even if you don't make it there. You'll still live life. You know, in America, we have not that many people who have literally $0, 0 clothes, 0 house, 0 food. You probably have something, right? Compared to people in the middle of, like, Africa who have nothing, literally nothing. Like, they barely have, like, a tarp to wear or something like that, you know? And that's such a big thing. Like that's one of my favorite videos. Like, people have trouble being motivated, and I just think that's so important to stay there. He used one aspect of it, like, some people have trouble running towards something, right? Like, we're running towards our goals. But you gotta, like, maybe turn it around. Picture it like you're running away from something. Like, are you really giving it 100%? And he said, like, okay, maybe running every morning like you're running to achieve your goals isn't enough. But imagine you have, like, this pit bull running at you. You're gonna run like trying to like bite your head off, right? You're gonna run as hard as you can. You're gonna do all that you can to get away from that thing. Why don't you just do that right now?
Do you think people's fallback option is just in this country, specifically speaking, is pretty damn good? Overall, like, yeah, like, it's like,
that's the thing. Yeah, exactly. You're gonna say like going to college, you're gonna be well off, right? Like, kind of what you're going at. Yeah, I think, you know, because it's like a safety net, you know. Yeah. And you gotta think, like, man, like, nets break. You know what I mean? You can look at it that way. Like, what if that doesn't work out? Or, like, what if your safety net isn't that comfortable? What if you hate that safety net? You know what I mean? I don't want to. Like, if we're going to go by metaphors here, like, are you just going to lay in that safety net for the rest of your life? Or are you going to climb to the top where there's, like, you know, I mean, for big things, like, there's luxuries and nice things to live off of, right? Like, you really want to live on a safety net, you know? And I think people put so much time into...
They're going to be happy living on that safety net. So much time into
tying their net real tight, making sure it doesn't fall apart and everything. And you're like, all right, what'd you do? You just made your you know, in your mind, your... like, lowest thing that you can do as good as possible, right? Because the safety net's at the bottom. It's in case you fall. Whereas what you could have been doing is you could have been, like, you know, like, building that staircase to get up higher to get to that next place or whatever, you know. I don't know. It's
focus too much on plan B. Plan B.
Exactly. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. You know, I'm not saying, you know, drop everything you have and, like, maybe that's not for you. Maybe it is. Maybe you should do that. He actually said in that video, he was like, you know, what I did is I moved out of my house, went out of my home, and I had nothing. So I had to run towards something. Like, I had to. Because he was running away from, like, starving and being homeless, you know. He was running towards being successful. So I think if everyone had that mindset, a lot more people would be happy with what they do with their life.
Yeah, true. Instead of settling. Mm-hmm.
100%.
I always think about like why, because I consider myself pretty motivated, but, like, realistically speaking, I mean, I'm not like building on my parents here, but, like, looking at this house, like, it's not a bad fallback. Yeah. But so I like to analyze my own psychology and, like, why I've always been pursuing, because I always pursue these other, like, extracurricular things, and I think a lot of it derives from my, like, hatred for school and my. I don't know if I'd necessarily call it fear, but my fear of going and working a job that I just dread. Because my experience with school has been that I just don't like it at all. So I think that's a huge motivating force why I try all these extracurricular things that have in turn made me a much better person and led to a lot of, like, self-growth. Yeah, no, I agree 100%, man. Like, you're using fear as a motivator like we talked about earlier, you know? Like, I'm not a school person myself. Like, I would say if it wasn't for seeing my friends every day,
I don't think I would have made it through, you know? Like, I remember, like, I didn't like elementary school. Like, I'm just like, I liked recess, gym, and lunch. Like, I liked when I could, like, talk to my friends and play games, you know? And I was the same way in high school.
What's your favorite subject? Recess.
And I was the same way in high school,
subject,
you know?
gym.
They're like, saying, what's your favorite class? Team sports. Best class, you know? That was the best class in high school. Like, I can, like, talk to my friends, we could play games. Like, that goes back, like, everything's come full circle. You're still kids at heart, you know? You still want those things. I think people have just, as adults, have told themselves why they couldn't do it, you know? Mm-hmm. And, yeah, dude, I would agree with what you said 100%. Like, school wasn't my thing either. You know, and I did good. I definitely could have done way better because, like I said, I got more serious about it at the end of high school, and my grades shot way up, you know? And that's just to show how much a minimal effort can improve things. Like, imagine if I put all my effort into that, you know? Like people try to make excuses for why they don't have good grades, and I'm like, yeah, you do have to be kind of smart, but you could get smart, you know what I mean? Like, you have to put time into that. If you have to do things outside of school that other people don't have to do, you might have to do that. I think people use their starting line to determine their finish line all the time, you know? And they're like, man, I wasn't smart in elementary school. I wasn't the smartest kid in middle school. Why am I going to be the smartest kid in high school? I'm like, well, you might have to do more than other people. Like, it happens. You just might.
And maybe you have a certain type of intelligence. Maybe your type of intelligence you have, or your attention span is incompatible with, like, school. So maybe you define, like, intelligence or being smart as, like being school smart. But, like, realistically speaking, you might be the greatest, you might have a great, just vast imagination.
Exactly.
That you haven't even, like, access because you have these limiting beliefs and this limiting self-talk to yourself.
Yeah, people, that's kind of the way, and, you know, like school smart is kind of what people think of when they think of smart, you know? But, like, I've listened to, like, people talk, and, like, they bring out, like, things people just don't talk about outside of school, and I'm like, dude, that guy's, like, so smart, like, just in the way he thinks, like, in his psychology and his logic, like, things you're not taught in school, you know? Or, like, people that do, like, everyday jobs, and I'm like, dude, I don't know, like, I'm not a car person. Like, it's just not me, you know? I don't really care. Like, I don't care that much.
Same.
You know? And it's like, don't get me wrong, I know it's something that's important, you know, but at the same time, it's just not what I want to put my time into. And I have a couple of friends who, like, they just know everything about cars. Like, they just know everything, you know? And I have a buddy who's always working on his, and, like, they're just fixing everything in their garage. And I was like, dude, if I did this, like, my car would not make it out of the garage afterwards, you know? I think, like, you could be smart in a ton of different ways.
And don't dwell on what you're bad at. Like identify what you're bad at, but don't dwell on it.
And look at what happens to people when they continue to pursue something that isn't considered smart by society. Mm-hmm. Like if you look at like big points in time of, like, inventors, people that started new movements and stuff, right? Like, you can look at, like, the Renaissance age, and people were all about, like, art and inventing and stuff like that. And, like, if you were to do that today, people would be like, that's not smart. But once people achieve something new, like, this guy's not smart, boom, he invents this. Super smart guy. For the rest of the time, everyone sees him as a smart guy. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, so...
his entire life he might have been...
So he was smart. You guys just didn't see it. You know?
Exactly.
That's with everything. He was good at something. You didn't see it, you know? And that's why people are like, dude, I'm good at this. You just wait. And people don't see, like, you're not going to make it. Boom, you're the best in the world. People never forget your name.
So it starts with you identifying that you're good at it, I guess, or maybe the people around you or something like that. And then you being able to believe in yourself enough to pursue that and then convince the world. Kind of like that quote we were just saying.
Yeah, like, 100%.
Believe in yourself and others will believe in you.
That's exactly what it is, you know? That's a perfect analogy, because it's like, maybe it won't even happen in your lifetime, you know? Maybe it happens, like, on your deathbed, whatever it may be. But then, like those guys that are in our history books, like, they probably didn't know that we'd be sitting in a building with electricity and running water 500 years later, talking about how smart they were, you know? And I'm sure there was someone that told them, like, that they're wasting their time. But look at them now; they're, like, some of the most famous people in history. You know? Like, I just think, like, people don't realize that. People want to look at, like, this narrow line of, like, how everything is supposed to go, and I don't think there's a certain way of how things are supposed to go, you know? I think it could go however you really want it to. That's why I say, like, you can do anything. So, yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
This is an awesome podcast, honestly.
Good man, yeah. It was really cool. I've never
2 hours 8 minutes.
Dang, that's crazy. I don't feel like that went fast.
Isn't that the weirdest thing about this?
Yeah, that's crazy.
That always happens.
I hear people say that all the time too. Like we were talking about, we both listen to the JRE podcast, and like I get down there like, dang, 3 hours, that went quick. But like I thought I'd been here for like almost an hour.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Plus we talked before this, which is crazy. Like I still feel like I've been here for like an hour.
That's wild.
That was super fast. That's crazy. This is cool, dude. This is really cool. Yeah.
There's something about you probably feel the same way with fighting. Like it just goes by so quick because you're like so into it, so into the moment.
It's crazy. Like I remember, so I don't know. I'm sure if you saw that picture I posted after I won my last fight of like me getting the belt on, like screaming.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. So like I see that, and then I had somebody post. So I don't get on Facebook much.
No.
I don't like it. All right, but like I get on it to. You know, because I need to, and like people comment on stuff, people tag me and stuff. Like I have my notifications on, so I can reply to them and like give people what people tell me thank you, or people tell me congrats. I want to tell them thank you. Like that's important to me. I don't want to just blow it off like it's nothing, because like I said, like we were talking about this before the podcast. Like one day you were a kid dreaming of having hundreds of people telling you congrats. You know, so you need to appreciate that for what it is. But I got on Facebook and I saw this picture of like me winning my first boxing match when I was 12, or I think it was the day after my 13th birthday. Because I lost my first boxing match. So first martial arts competition I ever did, I lost. But I remember I won my first one, and I had like my long hair, and I was like skinny and everything, and I was like, dude, that's crazy. Like that doesn't. On one end, like I feel like I obviously have come so far from that. But on the other end, that doesn't feel that long ago. You know, like I had the same mindset then that I do now. I still wanted the same thing then that I do now. And it's like, it's crazy to see how fast like everything goes. I don't even think I've been doing MMA for 2 years, you know? Like I remember walking in 2 years ago getting mad because like I thought I was this good boxer and everyone was leg kicking me all the time and I couldn't stop it, you know? Uh-huh. And I'm like, man, like that's crazy. 2 years has flown by with these guys. Like, you know, I remember walking in all quiet, and now, like, they're my best friends, you know? Like, my coaches, my teammates, I talk to them about anything. We hang out on the weekends, which is awesome. That's something that, like, I think having that bond between, like athlete and coach is super important for people to go far, to be close with them outside of the sport itself. And that
is special. I never really thought about that.
Yeah, it's crazy how much time has gone by. And
doesn't that kind of like prove to you that you're in the right place? Like you're right where you're supposed to be right now?
100%, you know, and like you hear, I'm sure I'm not the only kid who heard this from adults, where they tell you like time flies as you get older, you know? And I think that can happen for a few different reasons, you know? I think on one end, like, I think time does go by fast and you're having fun. But on the other end, like, I think some adults say that because, like, they just didn't do anything they like to do, you know, and they look back and like, man, what did I do with all these years, you know? And it's like, I think if people, like, I don't really know how to put it. Like, I don't know. It just goes by fast, man. Like, if you're enjoying every moment of it. So I think people on one end, people are so busy looking at the future, right? You look at the future so much and you miss all the present, right? I think if you look at the present and like you're just enjoying it as it goes. So on one end, yeah, it's gone really fast, but on the other end, there's been so many like memorable times, like in 2 years, right? And ideally, my fight career is gonna go for another 20, you know, ish, 15, 20, till I'm like 35, 40, right? And it's like, I'm like, dude, like, that's crazy to think, like, I know one day I'm going to be 40, I'm like, dang, it's all done. Like, this is it. I'm going to be at that point I was talking about earlier, you know, where I can look back and, like, ideally sit there with, with my family and, like, my house and be like, dude, this is it. Like, I did it all. Like, I remember 30 years ago when I was 12, and I was like, this is where I wanted to be, and, like, here I am. So, I'm sure it'll keep going by fast, but at the same time, I think, like, sometimes I go through stuff and I'm so busy worrying about, like, man, I gotta have this fight this year, I got the Asian Open then, I got Worlds then, I need this to work out, wrestling season's then, you know? And I'm like, man, let's take this one day at a time, right? Instead of worrying about, on one end, still care about that end goal, but on the other end, I'm like, where am I at right now? It's a sunny day, I'm going to train and do what I love, right? Like I'm worried about making a living off what I love, but at the same time, like I'm still getting to do this every single day.
It's a blessing.
You know, yeah, exactly. It's like, dang, dude, like most people couldn't do that, you know? Like it's I don't know, dude, it's wild. I enjoy it, and I'm really thankful that like I get to spend every single day going to do that, you know? Even and like I work a job to get just enough money to pay for gas to do that over the summer, you know, and like that's that investment, that sacrifice like we were talking about earlier that you have to make. You know, there's some people that are super driven to work jobs at young ages they don't want to do, and like on one end I would say, don't do that for the rest.
That's never made sense to me, by the way.
You know, yeah, me too. You know,
those people that take like 3 jobs after high school, and it's like you're not learning any real skills. You're just trading time for money. Yeah, and it's like, don't get me wrong. Like I see those people, and then they have like a good time on the weekends, and they you know they drive nice cars and like stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, like if you are driven to do that, that's awesome. Like I cannot do that. I go to work for like 2 hours. I'm like, I gotta go home. Like I just want to leave, and I'm like, I'm ready for the day to be over. I try to get myself motivated. I start thinking about practice. I'm like, all right, and that's another way I try to get myself motivated for practice on days I don't want to. I try to think like about all the things I enjoy about it, all the things I can get out of it. But like I'm not somebody who, like I'm very driven with what I want to do. When it comes to something I don't enjoy, I'm just not driven. You know, that's why I didn't do as well as I could have in school. That's why I don't work 40, 50, 60 hours a week. I'm wired the exact same way.
And I think that's what makes school hard for me. It's not like, you know, I'm not, you know, I'm saying this like as humble as I can, but like school came easy to me as a young kid. You know, it just was. Like elementary, middle school, when really the only thing you got graded on was tests, right? Like the only thing I would lose points on was when I didn't do my homework. You know, and that's just how I was. I did good on tests, and you know, I was really good at math. I was really good at writing essays. It's just how I've been. I'd write my essay the night before, and I'd get 100% on it. It's just what happened, you know. And like, I'm thankful for that because it got me through school. Not everybody is like naturally like gifted in that way, but I'm like, man, what could I have done with that if I would have invested time in it? But it's not what I want to do, you know, and. I just think like you put your time into something like that you really care about, and it's gonna pay off differently, I guess.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So,
you're gonna have a lot more like whenever you're obsessive, like almost obsessed with it to the point where it's like just dominating your thoughts all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
That's gonna take you a lot further. And I'm wired the exact same way.
That's where I am with fighting. It's like, man, I can't go like I'm always thinking about it. Like it's just like. I think about something and I compare it to it, you know? Like, I drink water and I'm like, oh, I stay hydrated for fighting. Like, that's what... Everything makes me think about it. Even if there's not a connection
Everything you're putting in your body.
It's always in my mind, you know? And I'm to the point now where it's like I don't have an issue eating healthy because I've learned to like the food. Like, it doesn't taste good, but I'm just like, oh, this is good for me. You know what I mean? And, like, now it does taste good. I'm used to it. Because, like, even... like I said, I'm big into, like, health and nutrition kind of anyway. I've just always had, like, a thing for that. I got into lifting like towards the end of high school, and like I just like stuff like that. So I don't eat real bad like out of fight camps and stuff like that. I eat really clean. Obviously, like I win a fight, I'll go out. Like I'll enjoy myself. I'll eat pizza. I love pizza and like hot wings. That's like my thing. Or if there's fights on, I'm hanging with people, and you know, I'm not in fight camp. Like I'm not against eating stuff like that. But like for the most part, my everyday routine, getting up, eating that, it's just like I enjoy it. Because I'm always thinking about like the thing I care about, and I think that's what makes people. It's like we were talking about earlier. What makes people like waste time and time fly by without them enjoying it is like they're always thinking about one thing, but they're never doing that thing. You know, they go to their job every day, and they're like, I wish I wasn't here. I wish I was.
Oh, I would hate that resistance
and, you know?
of like the here and the now.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like, man, like. If you really like do something you care about, you're going to be enjoying the present at every moment.
Exactly.
Know? So on one end, I want to get to that point, right, where I'm retired. Like I win that last fight, and I look around, I take it all in. You know, I see the crowd, and I'm like, this was it. Like ideally, you know, leave like a legacy behind. That's what the goal is. You know, like I don't aim low ever, and I don't expect myself to only make it so far. You know, I expect myself to make it as far as possible. And I expect myself to like do what's necessary, even if it's something different that most people don't have to do to get there. You know, but like I think at the same time, while I want to get there, I gotta enjoy every moment on the way there. You know, not too much to where it's like I'm celebrating every moment, but like enjoy every moment. There's a difference, I think, between enjoying something and celebrating it for sure. You know, and it's like that's why I can enjoy my moments winning my fights, as much as I want to like scream and go nuts and like, you know, like pound my chest and just like yell at the crowd and everything. Like, I don't have to do that yet because I'm not there. This is gonna be my celebratory moment, whereas each moment every day is like a moment to enjoy for me, you know? Even if I'm working, I'm like, man, you know what? I'm going to have some money after this. Like, it's going to be nice. Like,
give me to practice.
Yeah, give me to practice. Like, I'm going to have a little bit left over probably, spend on whatever I want. Like, and I'm going to get to practice today. I'm going to get to practice tomorrow. And, like, even if I'm practicing and it sucks, I'm like, man, I'm going to get something out of this. Like, I think, that's what I tell everybody when it comes to working out, you know, whether they're overweight or they just want to start working out. I don't know anybody that ever gets into working out, right, and goes through a period of whatever type of exercise and gets done and says, man, I wish I didn't do that. Like that feeling.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That feeling after practice or after like you go lift or whatever, like you always feel good about yourself. You always feel good and you're happy that you did that, you know? That's what I tell people. They're trying to get into something, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, honestly, what are the chances that you do this? And you're like, man, I wish I didn't do that. No one ever says that.
That's a really good point.
Like, and that goes back to like, that guy that said the only reason to run. I'm like, you get up and run. I guarantee you're not gonna get done and say, man, I wish I didn't go run. No one's gonna say that. So that's what I try.
And you'll feel better after.
Yeah, and you'll feel better, and it's good for you. Like whatever. There's so many benefits, you know.
That was always my mindset with like working out and whatnot. Because I went through a phase in high school where I got like obsessed with working out.
Yeah.
And I just looked at the benefits. I'm like, yeah, like I might not even necessarily enjoy everything I'm doing.
Exactly.
But,
that's like what I was saying.
The benefits. Like,
yeah, with when I first had to start eating healthy, you know, like it was more of a choice than anything. Like I ate healthy before MMA. Like, it was just like once I started lifting, I kind of got into like, okay, well I want to like get big, but I don't want to get fat, so I got to eat this. And then I was like, oh, this is this, and like I like enjoyed like reading about it and stuff like that. As a little kid, I was like a heavy reader throughout elementary school, and like it kind of fell off like once I started boxing, you know. And I was like, all right, this is my thing, and like you kind of I don't know. I guess you could look at it from like I'm like a minimalist kind of viewpoint in that area because it's just like it just doesn't matter, I guess, in a sense, you know. I think when people really care about one thing, that's like. They just kind of see it as, all right, if I have to pick one thing, I'm picking this. You know what I mean? So, like, I kind of, like, I wasn't much of a reader then, but, like, reading now, like, I'm reading about something I care about. And, like, it got me into healthy eating. And I'm like, oh, dude, I could eat this. And, like, you know, you lift, you take, like, some supplements, you know, your pre-workout, your protein, whatever. And you're like, you just, like, for me, that was fun to learn about. Like, I liked it. I like to know that I know more about it. If that makes sense.
Absolutely, because it helps optimize your performance at what you're trying to accomplish.
You know, it's just like what you said. You know, it's helping you with what you want to do, with what you enjoy. So, yeah, it's all like I don't know. It's so important, I think, for people to have the right mindset, and do what you love, and you'll enjoy like all of it. You know, so even the things you don't enjoy, like you're like. I don't like going to work. I don't like going to class, but like I do it, and I'm like, I try to look. Those are the moments that maybe, you know, if you can't necessarily enjoy that present moment, enjoy what you're getting out of that present moment, or enjoy the soon to come like future moment. You know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because I think so many people just try to be like, oh man, I hate that I work, and so they hate every single day, and they're waiting till they're done working. That's why so many people I see in high school, they're like, their goal is to make a lot of money so they can retire young. And that's all they think about for the next 20 years till they retire. I'm like, all right, well, why don't you enjoy the time when you go home after you work?
Yeah, good point. You know? Yeah. Or like, find a different job.
Enjoy the time you're not, well, that's the main one, yeah, for sure, 100%. But like, I'm like, you know, if you gotta, you know, work hard for a couple of years while you're fresh out of high school, like enjoy the time you're not working. Enjoy the time with your friends.
That's how I see it too. Because like I imagine myself like I don't know. I feel like plans never. Yeah. Fully go like according to plan. Things never go fully.
Yeah, things happen.
Plan.
Yeah.
But like what I plan to do after college is it's like a year and a half left. What I plan to do is just go to hopefully find a job I enjoy, work part time, and then train jiu-jitsu after work. and then
exactly.
like on the side, like start like some side schemes as well.
Yeah. For sure, man. That's kind of like what I do right now. I work. Like I found a job. Like, you know, I could find jobs that probably pay better, that I could work more. But I'm like, found a job that I can work these days, and I can train after, and then I'm not going to work these extra days, so I can get my 2 or 3 days in. You know,
Exactly.
Like it happens, and that was kind of my original goal, because like the place is open for more hours than that, and there's more days that I don't work. But I'm like, man, these are the days I want to train, like early in the morning or in the middle of the day. You know, and it's a sacrifice. I'm like, man, I could have more money to spend during the school year, spend on the weekends, spend on whatever, you know, go out and eat. But like, that's a sacrifice, and I'm enjoying what I'm getting out of not working. Like, I don't sit there like, man, I wish I was at work right now.
Right.
So, yeah, I think what was it? Crap. I don't know. You said something about you said something about college, like shoot.
How it motivates me, or
Yeah, kind of, I guess, just because, like, people... Dang it, I forgot what I was going to say. I kind of got off track for a little bit, and I completely forgot what I was going to say. I don't know. If it comes back to me, I'll go back to it. I don't remember. I don't know.
do you have anything else on your mind?
I don't know, man. Like, we went over a lot.
I remember what telling you.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was kind of cool. I like being able to, like... I don't know. This is, like, something that I think is really cool. Like I said, I'm a big podcast guy. That's like what I listen to when I'm at work and stuff.
And just be able to like sit down and I always tell people this, like, when was the last time you sat down and just had a face-to-face conversation with no distractions?
Yeah.
Like the only goal we just had right now was all we're trying to accomplish is just to have a good conversation.
Yeah, it is cool, and it's enjoyable, you know. It's like it's weird. I'm like talking about it right now, but I'm still doing it. You know what I mean? But like, it's such a kind of like what I was saying about MMA, it's such a pure thing, you know. It's authentic, and you're not. There's no like rules around it or anything like that.
Yeah,
you know?
good point.
It's enjoyable. I think that's what. It's such a. I think kind of what we were talking about earlier. Like, whoever started the first podcast, they're probably like, you're gonna sit at the table and talk to somebody, and that's how you're gonna
record yourself having a conversation.
Like, nobody wants to listen to that, and now like you see, like, it's huge. Like, I love listening to it. It's so weird that like I just listen to other. It's almost like you're there when you listen to them, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's why I love when like my favorite guests, like when I listen to like JRE and stuff, are like probably the fighters, but I listen to other ones too, like the health and like nutritionists and stuff like that, and some other ones too. But like, it's so cool to like, because you find the ones you like, and some of them you learn, some of them you just listen. It's like, it's a cool thing, man. It's a cool thing you're doing. That's actually like, plus it's like, it's cool to see someone like local, that like from the area, doing something that like you think is cool, you know? So,
absolutely.
I don't know. That was kind of cool. When you like asked me to come do this, I was like, oh dude, that's actually sweet. Like, somebody starting a podcast, like, that's so cool. That's like something I listen to every single day, you know?
And you get it too, like you get it,
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of people like they'll give me like, I'll like ask like, because I'm always like asking people, and I run into them like an old friend or whatever, and I'm like, hey, would you want to come on a podcast? And I think a lot of people don't really know what a podcast is, like at least at this point in time, like, actually, just kind of give me this bizarre look.
Yeah. No, I was telling a couple of people like I was doing this today, and they're like, what are you going to talk about? I was like, pretty much anything. They're like, are you talking about like you? And I was like, yeah, I'm sure we'll ask you some questions about me, but we'll probably branch off and talk about like things that have nothing to do with me at all, you know? Like, exactly. Like, it's just, it's kind of a, definitely, that's an out there thing that like when it started, people probably treated the dude like he was crazy, you know?
People always ask me that too. What are you going to talk about? I'm like, what is there not to talk about? Like, there's so much to talk about.
Like, exactly. It's literally like, I'm like, what do you want to talk about right now? You know, it's like, it's not like you plan to do it per se, you know? Like you had some questions in mind, but like, I'd say more of our conversation came probably from like random stuff than even like questions you had planned, you know? Yeah, like you probably didn't plan for this to be 2.5 hours or whatever long, you know?
That's what, like tonight I got asked to play in an indoor soccer game, and I told the guy, I'm like, honestly, I can't give you a definitive yes or no, because I've already had this planned out, and I missed the game, by the way. Yeah. No worries. But I was like, I can't give you a yes or no, because these things, like, they could go, I just can't predict how long or how short it's going to be.
Yeah, 100%. Like I'll listen to a podcast, it'll be like 3.5 hours, and I'll listen to the next one from the same like person who makes podcasts will be like an hour long, you know.
Exactly.
And it's just like, and some of the people come back and talk for another 3 hours, and some people just, I don't know. It's like, it's cool seeing people kind of like go off on their own thing. That's why I don't think you should ever tell somebody like, man, like, what are you doing with that? Like, how are you going to go anywhere with that? Because, and I'm not going to say I'm you know, completely perfect about myself. I'm sure I'm guilty of it before. People try to bring up ideas in the back of my head. I probably think like, oh, dude, like that's never going to work out, you know. But, you know, it's like, who am I to really tell them like that's not going to work?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So, yeah, man, it's a cool thing you're doing.
You don't know, they don't know.
Exactly. 100%.
I'll tell you this much too, and word means nothing, action's everything. But the way I'm attacking this, going at this, is just with persistence and resilience.
Yeah.
And just in passion, of course. But pretty much I just asked myself the question. I'm like, what's something I could see myself doing the rest of my life? And I'm like, definitely, I could definitely do this the rest of my life.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, this is sick. This is so fun. Like, I don't see any reason to give up. Literally, if I stay stagnant as far as like a fan base goes, and it like there's no, in my opinion, there's no way I could fail at this. The only way somebody else could define me at failing is maybe like a lack of view count. But at that point, it's only a number.
You're still kind of new at the same time, though. Like, everyone starts. You know what I mean? It's like
true.
It's like. Have you ever watched Joe Rogan's first JRE thing?
Dude, I watch it all the time.
It was like the pool table, you know?
And they don't talk for the first like 2 minutes.
He's talked about it. I remember when episode 1000 came out, right? And he talked about it. I think it was who do you have on there? It's like Tom Segura and I think Joey Diaz.
Some of the stand-up, maybe Ari Shaffir.
Yeah, maybe. It was a few of them.
Kershire.
But he was on there. He was like,
Fischer.
dude, I remember starting it, and he's like, I never planned for this even to go, like, this big, you know? So, like, you never know. It might not even be what you plan on doing for the rest of your life, you know? It could just be, like, and that's why, like, some people
could lead to something else.
Some people might not know what they want to do, you know? On one end, like you said, you had to ask yourself that question, could I do this the rest of my life? Some people don't ask themselves that. Some people just say, like, I want to do this. Some people say, I have no idea. You know, so I tell those people, like, just do what you like, you know? Like, maybe go find a job that gets you some money, do what you like every day, and I'm sure you'll run into something. Like, I think everybody at least comes across something that they enjoy enough to do every day for 20, 30 years, you know?
Good point. Good point.
Like, just do what you like. Don't like hound yourself and be like, I have to find my thing, you know? Like, you're probably going to find it.
And try a lot of new things.
Yeah.
Try a ton of new things.
And if there's something you enjoy, do it again. Like, find a way to do it more.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like, I think people are like, man, I would really like to do this, but I don't have the money. I'm like, all right, get a job, get some money, go do that. You know? Or whatever it is. I can't. Like, if you gotta move, you gotta think, all right, what do I like more? They're like, oh, I don't wanna move. This is kind of far away, or I don't wanna drive this far every day. I'm like, okay, well, are you enjoying yourself more by not driving that far, or are you enjoying yourself more by making that sacrifice? You know, I think that's so important for people. I'm like, it's just, you know, we've gone. It's crazy how much we've talked about this one like simple concept of just do what you enjoy, like do what you love. You know, that's why.
Could you imagine this world though? Like, what would this world be like if everyone was doing something they loved?
I don't know, man, and I don't know if that's maybe. Some people probably love the wrong things, you know, like, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that they won't love something else. That would be, you know, like a good thing for them to do. You know?
Point.
I'm not saying go, oh, I love to like sleep. I'm just gonna sleep for,
good
you know,
point.
okay, that's, you know, obviously.
I love cocaine.
Yeah, I'm gonna do cocaine every day for the rest of my life.
I love it. It's what I'm passionate about.
Like, okay, like it's probably not so healthy, you know, but I'm sure there's something else. Like in your life, and people would say like, well, there's not. Okay, well then you haven't found it yet. You know, and maybe you do have to buckle down and like look for it. Like, you don't know. Like some people, like, you're sitting there complaining about not having it. Like, go find it. What are you doing right now to go find it? You know, like, get up, go do something. Like, if somebody asks you to do something and you're sitting there saying, no, I don't feel like it. What if that was your thing? You know. So, I don't know.
And if you do decide to like not do that, don't complain about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't complain about it.
Exactly.
It's not anybody's fault but your own.
For sure. Yeah, I agree 100%. Yep. Yeah, man.
I feel like this is like the 5th time that it's kind of like could be like a slow resolution.
I know, we get into these
like...
big conversations. But yeah, I mean, that was good. That was awesome.
I enjoyed this a lot.
Yeah,
I enjoyed this a lot.
Thank you. That was sweet.
Yeah, I'll shake your hand.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me. I would. I would do this again if you ever wanted to. This was really cool.
Really, I love when people say that. 'Cause, I would love to do this again.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's just something that's like easy to do. Like for me at least, I just show up and talk about whatever. I'm somebody that, like I said earlier, you were asking about like calm versus aggressive personality, and maybe not aggressive as in like belligerent, but aggressive as in like put himself out there, go for like everything, as opposed to like somebody who sits back and just kind of like goes for what they want. Like I'm definitely more of a calm person in that aspect. But like you could get me talking about what I want, I'll talk for days. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like this, I'll just mumble on. People are probably like, "Dude, what's this guy talking about anymore?" I'm sure I got off a couple times on this, and people are like, "How does this relate to the question?" But
actually, I thought you did a really good job, like right, sticking to.
Good. I wasn't sure. I didn't know, but I wasn't really like thinking about like. I think it's a lot easier. That's why like I didn't want to like take time to think about them. I was just like, all right, just kind of go for it.
Exactly.
And I figured it would end better. So yeah.
I think it won't.
That was a lot of fun, man.
Great.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool, and
awesome.
I wish you the best in Beijing, and wish you the best carrying forward.
Man. Yeah.
And maybe I hate like telling anybody like a planned destination or planned time, but maybe over Christmas break.
Yeah,
so, like, 6
I'll
months
see
from now,
for sure. Yeah, I'll and obviously like if not, we live in the same city, so
exactly.
It could be earlier, later. It doesn't matter. I'd definitely be willing to do it again. So
awesome,
man. Yeah, keep it up. I like this. I'll start listening to it a little more and stuff like that.
Oh, very cool. I actually just got a new podcast picture like a week.
Awesome. Oh yeah, I saw that.
Oh, you did?
That's sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, new podcast picture and theme song. So
that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah, keep it up. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So that concludes this episode. 2 hours 35 minutes now. Wow, that's wild. Yeah. That's wild. Cool. All right. Bye.